Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the afternoon session of Manila Bay Region Kalikasan Muna Congress. Again, we would like to remind you of the house rules for today. Please format your name accordingly as follows: organization or school, and then dash, and then your name so that we can properly identify you. Please mute yourself while on the event, and also please turn off your video when you're not speaking. Raise your hand to ask questions or type it on the chat during the open forum portion. Audience on FB Live can comment their questions or feedback. Avoid personal and derogatory questions. When sharing an experience or opinion, be direct to the point and turn on your video when you are speaking. This event is brought to you by the Green Party of the Philippines, GPP Kalikasan Muna, together with Action Kalikasan, Eco Actions PH, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, ENIA, the Rotary Club of Alabang, Madrigal Business Park, Pro Earth Crusaders, Masungi Geo Reserve, Upper Marikina Watershed Coalition, Edge TV, Solution Permaculture, ASEAN Youth Organization, Rotary Club of Pasay Marina, ako at ang Kalikasan TV, Bayanihan para sa Kalikasan Movement Inc., Kalikas, Kabataan para sa Kalikasan. Magandang hapon po and welcome back to our afternoon session. I hope naging masarap po ang inyong pagkain, no? Medyo maatika muna yung discussion kanina, no? Again, this is David De Angelo, the President of the Green Party of the Philippines, GPP Kalikasan Muna. And to start our session for today, let me introduce to you the person who will do our opening for the afternoon session, Mr. Jeff Ramos, a GPP Party Secretary and LGBTQ Sectoral Convener.
Yes, magandang afternoon sa lahat. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. President. This morning, we opened the Congress with prayers and national anthem, followed by the introduction of our host, Mr. Raymond T. Castro. Opening remarks and short GPP introduction was done by our very workaholic and reliable President David De Angelo, then followed by the Congress background and objectives presented by yours truly. First presentation was done by the Upper Marikina Watershed Coalition, composed of 65 organizations, through Mr. Lou G. Puela, their core campaigner rather. He presented major problems and concerns with regards to watershed and their current programs and efforts to that area. Second presentation was done by Ms. Russell Morales, Communication and Project Associate from Masungi Geo Reserve, Baras Rizal. She presented the hard challenges, touching and inspiring stories they have battling to conserve these proclaimed environmental areas. Third presentation was done by Mr. Precious Velasquez, President of Action Kalikasan, who raised 4 challenges in combating environmental problems. And last, Ms. Heidi Pabalate, DNR focal person for Manila Bayside Coordinating Management Office, who discussed 3 phases of their office projects and activities as mandated to them. Her presentation gave us huge amount of information and clarification with regards to government programs and activities. Each presentation tried to answer some questions from the audience, but for time limitations, some of these questions will be answered through private messages. There was a very informing, inspiring program this morning. There was fruitful discussion despite time limitations. GPP is expressing gratitude to all presenters and all active audiences despite of the odds. We are truly grateful. We hope to have this meaningful and meaningful as well and fruitful discussion this afternoon. We remind everyone that this Congress will try to achieve the following: to know the current problems of the Manila Bay region, current projects, activities, and initiatives that is being done to solve current problems and issues in that area, to create a draft legislative ordinances and policies, and to suggest possible local policies, provincial or city municipal ordinances as initial output, maybe in a form of bullet points with support description. No need to put into details. And lastly, possible action points and notable recommendations, and learn best practices from each other. And to continue with this afternoon session, we take over to, I gave the mic to Mr. Anton, who will facilitate this afternoon session.
Sir Anton, nandito ka na ba?
Yeah. Yes, good
Ayan,
afternoon. No, I was actually medyo malayo lang ako dito, but I could hear ano kasi ako naka-speaker. But anyway, yes. Excuse me. So yeah, let's start the ball rolling. Sandali. I lost my tickler on this.
Habang hinihintay natin si Sir Anton, katulad na nasabi mo, Dave, kanina, no, very intense na yung ating discussion kanina. It was very meaningful. Actually, nakakatuwa na nagawa natin ito despite of the limitations talaga of time and the current situations that we have. Diba?
Actually, yung point naman kanina ng question talaga ng ating chairperson ni Hilary Pangan is a legitimate question, no? That there is talaga a sense of urgency with our environmental situation, no? Kaya lang ang worry ko talaga, sabi ko nga, baka si Ma'am Heidi, who is from the Manila Bay region representation, is not the right person, no, to answer yung mga concerns kanina, lalo na yung problem ng urgency ng climate change. So I think talagang may urgency na talaga. I hope our attendees today know that on the latest IPCC report, no, ang sabi, ang pag-init is 1.5 degrees centigrade. No matter what you do, that 1.5 degrees centigrade will happen in 10 years. And how hot it will be, depende na rin sa atin. Kung ano pa yung gagawin natin, baka mas uminit pa doon. And that's yun ang nakakatakot.
Yeah. At kanina din sa discussion, kanina yung kasama nating nag-share tungkol sa food production. After nung nangyari kasi itong pandemic na to, we realized na hindi talaga, kumbaga, ano ang esensya ng mall kung wala ka namang wala naman tayong oportunidad para pumunta sa mall, kung hindi talaga magtanim sa backyard, magtanim sa mga spaces natin. So food production is really a major problem as well. So siguro hindi lang natin madadaanan yung kanina, kundi ma-take up din natin as one of the major issues ng environment natin. Kasi sino ba nagbibigay ng pagkain sa atin? Environment also.
Tama,
So
tama.
nakakatuwa lang kanina si Sir, I don't know, hindi ko na na-pick up yung pangalan niya, that yung issue na ni-raise niya could be a good opportunity also for us to look at it. At yun nga yung sinasabi niya na yung Marikina watershed is an alternative area for us to cultivate, to propagate as well yung ating food production. Well, it is sabi ko nga, parang maganda rin natin tignan at some level, at hindi rin natin ini-ignore na isa rin to sa mga major problem natin as of now, yung food production, especially pagdating sa crops, saka sa natural resources na ibinibigay sa atin para kainin natin syempre para i-consume natin as a general.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Jeff, I'm okay.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Yes.
Take it on, Mr.
Well,
Sean.
well, actually, my apologies to everyone, but I was doing some assignments uh, for the morning session. Then, for some inexplicable reason, I lost my notes for this afternoon. Anyway, I've retrieved uh, the notifications that they gave me. However, somebody's speaking also while I'm speaking.
I'll try to mute everyone, then ask you to unmute.
Okay, okay.
Please, pa-unmute Sir Anton. Sir Anton, pa-unmute.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you,
okay.
thank you.
Well, it's very important for us to realize that there are three very important aspects of sustainable development, which are social, economic, and of course the environment. So that brings us to one particular segment, or very important segment of those um, three items that I've just discussed, no? And this would be the economics of it, no? And whenever we talk about the economics of things, we always we always segue into the business developments in our environment. So today, this afternoon, rather, we will have a roundtable discussion on business developments that directly affect and support local environmental problems. Or so, may I introduce to you our resource persons for today, who, Mr. Dan Renner, who is the Director for Environment Programs and Partnerships of the Rotary Club of Alabang Madrigal Business Park. So, yeah, Dan,
Hello.
Rotarian Dan.
How are you, Mr. Anton?
Yeah, I am fine. Incidentally, I'm a charter member of the Rotary Club of Downtown Tarlac, and I'm also a past president there. So you're in good
Ah,
hands, sir.
okay, good to hear.
Okay.
Good.
And Jeff, Dave, do I introduce the other lady here, or will we give
It's
Rotarian
yeah,
Dan here
it's
the
another male. Yeah, you can
oh,
introduce and then we can ask.
okay.
I think first Sir Larry to present because he has a very limited connection. So that
Okay.
yeah, Sir Larry will present first. Is that okay? Rotarian Dan.
Sure, no problem, David.
Okay, you can
Okay.
present the
So
second speaker.
we also have another resource speaker with us, who is also who would be focusing on birdland care, the birdland care commune. She is Miss Hilary Pangan, and yes, I will be reintroducing her later. But in the meantime, let's give the floor to Rotarian Dan for his presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Antonio.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, hello, people, and thank you for having me here. I'll start off with the Rotary Club, as you may or may not know, has 7 areas of focus. Um, the supporting the environment, which is here, was actually added just this year in July, and we've decided to go after it in a rather big way. So that's our current aspect. So that's for that. Uh, give you a quick presentation here. All right. So this is based on the Rotary Club of Alabang Madrigal Business Park. I'm the director of environment, so which is obviously very new. So this is one of our first projects in the area, but not our first, but one of our first. So you all know that the Earth is in a little bit of trouble. This is the CO2 map of Earth from NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. The WHO now says 7 million people a year are dying from air pollution. And the direct effect on the Philippines is 185,000 people in the Philippines per year are dying from air pollution. And this, obviously, you've seen this in real life, and the jeepneys smoking, the buses smoking, the trucks smoking. What it does is that floats in the air, that black carbon floats in the air and lands all over the place. And this happens to be a picture of the black carbon in the Arctic. Excuse me. So now a lot of people are banking on electric vehicles saving us. Well, my apologies, but per the International Energy Agency, for their prediction, and per just when you apply some logic to that data, by the time 2030 comes around, out of the 2 billion vehicles on Earth, 1.8 billion are still going to be polluting. And that's what we're going to go after. So, okay, my apologies. I got a little ahead of myself. This is from the WHO, and this link down here will take you exactly to this page, which will show you that 185 out of every 100,000, which actually is a little bit more than 185,000 per year, Filipinos are dying from air pollution. Now, to give you some kind of relativity, this was taken from the Johns Hopkins COVID data back in March, but I believe the data is quite a bit higher now, about 3 times higher now. You're up to about 31,000, but 31,000 is still a lot lower than 185,000. So now you can't just bring in a whole bunch of EVs, electric vehicles. You've got logistics, you've got manufacturing, you've got getting the raw materials, you've got all the above, you've got expense. Who's going to pay for all that? So what we're working on is a bridge solution. A bridge solution basically ties one point to another point. What we're trying to tie is the pollution levels of the future to today. And we'll show you how we'll do that. The carbon cutter is the device that we're using. Has lots of third-party testing, lots of LTO testing, lots of testing, period. This little bit here is from the Department of Science and Technology's environmental technology verification test that was done in 2018. And we reduced diesel particulates, the PM 2.5, PM 10, by almost 76%. Gasoline hydrocarbons went down 66%. Carbon monoxide down 17%. Consumption, which directly relates to CO2, went down 16%. Consumption on the diesel, wasn't that good. But even UP Diliman, the mechanical engineering department, has tested and verified that we do reduce consumption. So we have lots and lots of tests. This particular, it's just an LTO environment, particle matter test, so they call it an opacity test on a Nissan Frontier And this has been a long-standing record because we got this vehicle down to 0.2 on the opacity test. And in case you don't know, a measure of 2.5 or above is failure, and legally you cannot take your vehicle on the road. So our record, a long time standing record, I think it was from 2015, has been 0.2. However, a 3-year-old Toyota Nova just beat that and got a 0.16. So which literally is you could actually breathe that air and no harm would come to you, that exhaust. All right. So what are the benefits of the project we're doing? Obviously, from the screen page above, you can see that we lower greenhouse gas levels, all of them. The carbon monoxide, the carbon dioxide, the hydrocarbons, all of them are lowered. Because the drivers are using less fuel, there's lower fuel costs. And because of that, the PUV drivers that we're working with, that we're installing, their income increases because they don't have to spend that money on fuel. We are partnered with a Foundation for These Abled Persons, Inc. You can find them on FTI2009.com. And they are finding PWDs for us to do the fabrication, which we're allowing them to do the fabrication of the device in their home. It just takes a couple of simple hand tools, and we pay them very, very well, actually. So citizens in the areas that we affect, like say we just did a 100 tricycle project in Katipunan. The citizens in that area are breathing cleaner air because there's no raw gasoline, or I should say there's less raw gasoline in the air they have to breathe. Raw gasoline is extremely poisonous. The tricycle drivers all report that the engines have more power, and if they actually had to purchase these devices, they would have a return on investment actually in 4 weeks from the reports we're getting from the drivers. And the device lasts the life of the engine. So a 5-year lifetime for a tricycle is pretty much average. And it's a very, very cheap device. 1,200 pesos for trikes, motorcycles, 2,500 pesos for Jeeps, small trucks and cars, SUVs. So it's very, very inexpensive. So give you an idea, a graphic idea of the impact this device has. We put our device on 1,000 tricycles. Add our device to it. We will take out of the air 14 20,000-liter tanker trucks of fuel. That is 760 tons of CO2, and the amount of hydrocarbons is quite a bit more. So that's basically 287,870 liters of fuel the drivers do not have to purchase. Now you divide 287,000 by 1,000 drivers, and you see their income per year is quite considerable. Now, we always get asked, well, does anybody really want it? Actually, yes, a lot of people want it. This is a letter from the city of Malabon, if I'm pronouncing that right, from the Senro office. It's basically stating that they want the device. The Mayor Lundland, wants the device in all 3,800 tricycles in his city. And this letter was signed by the Senro office chief and also by the city administrator. So yes, it's a wanted project. So this is actually the benefits. This presentation was aimed at clubs, but just to give you an idea, these are effects created. PWDs or other fabricators that we use, their income is up by 50,000 pesos each. The installer's income is up by 75,000 each. Total driver's income is up by about 14 million. 13 million. My apologies. I don't know where that number came from. I think we figured that out on the 1,000 vehicles. Yeah. So 1,000 vehicles, 1,000 drivers will increase their income by 14 million. For 5 years, if that's the life of the engine, that's 70 million pesos for those 1,000 drivers. So that's about 70,000 pesos per year, or for the 5 years each. Again, the CO2 reduction, 760 tons per year. For 5 years, that's 3,800 tons. That's not a small amount. The hydrocarbon reduction, and the reason the hydrocarbon is important is the definition of hydrocarbon is fuel. So hydrocarbon, say for a tricycle, is gasoline. There's a reduction of 14 20,000 liter tanker trucks per year. And again, in 5 years, that's 70 20,000 liter trucks. 70 trucks of fuel for those 5 years. That's out of the air. Now, that the cost on something like that, 1,000 tricycles, is only 1,200,000 pesos. So the driver's income is going up by 70 million pesos for a cost of 1.2 million. It's a very, very over exaggerated exchange for that project. All right. So that is the presentation. And I ask if there are any questions.
Well, yeah, yes, yes, Dan. Yeah, Anton here. Yeah, and I was just kind of thinking. So, what's the status of the project right now?
We're actually just finished up the memorandum of agreement of understanding. We just finished nailing that all out, and we've already gotten a few other clubs interested in the project as well. So we're going to start out in where is it? Parañaque, I believe is where the club is starting, because that's where the club has a lot of people up in that area. So we're started up in that area. So that's where we're going. Also, one of the past presidents, Danny, my apologies, I forget his last name, but he's working on a project that uses tricycle drivers to deliver for co-ops all across the nation. And we're also going to be involved with that and getting this into the drivers' vehicles as well. So it's moving. It's moving. We were actually awarded. We got verbal notice of an 800 tricycle award by the city of Malabon 2 days before the COVID lockdown. So unfortunately, that didn't go very far.
Okay. Well, I'm sure it will push after they've lifted the stricter quarantines here in Manila. Yep.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if my fellow Rotarians there in Labang have actually considered getting in touch with an organization called REDD Plus. It's supposed to be a REDD Plus stands for Reducing Emissions from Deforestation and Forest Degradation. It's actually the reverse of what the Rotarians are doing there in Alabang, but this is more on the reforestation side, which also helps in bringing down the carbon levels in our atmosphere.
Right.
But I believe, just a tip from one Rotarian to another, they've got funding, Dan.
Oh,
Okay.
good on them. Good on them.
Okay, just Look into it, please.
Okay,
Sure.
good.
Yeah. So, I will we open the. Would you care to answer some questions now from?
Oh,
I don't
sure.
have. Dave,
Hello.
could you
Yeah,
help me
yeah,
out
yeah.
here?
Yeah,
I
thank
can't
you,
see
sir.
the.
Yeah, Sir Anton. Before we proceed to the open forum, we will just proceed to the next speaker first.
Okay. Sure.
Uh, because I think there's a lockdown timeline for Sambales. So that
Okay.
Sir Hillary, could you introduce the next speaker, Sir
Okay.
Anton?
Sure. Yeah. Well, since she's rather in a hurry for because of the lockdown thing, whatever they are having out there. So may I introduce the manager of Birdland Care Commune and the chairperson of the Green Party of the Philippines, Hillary Pangan. Hillary, please. Chair Hillary, are you there? She got locked down.
Yes po, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, my apologies.
Hunting season.
My
Hunting
apologies,
season here.
Larry. I've
People are
always thought that
planting now.
Hillary is
See that view?
a woman's
Yeah.
name.
Like that.
Yeah.
And
Very
see my
sorry.
kids running over
My
there.
apologies for that.
There they are. Be careful, huh?
Mm.
And there's Daddy. Hi, Daddy.
Yeah.
You see those people planting over there? Yeah. So nice.
Okay. Thank you. I'm now
Welcome,
here
Sir
in Birdland. I cannot show you everything because I have only 15 minutes window. But anyway, sabi ni Greta, to be direct, the climate issue, the climate change issue, is already solved, has been solved already. The only thing we need is to change. Diba? If you go to YouTube, all the discussions, the solutions are already here. The only problem is people are not changing. So my proposal in the book that I wrote, Pilgrimage to Paradise, is to have a mechanism for change, for people to change. You know, ang dami nating sinasabi pero nobody really changed their lifestyle. We want to maintain it. Diba? We say there's climate change, or some people say, oh, there's no climate change, so that they can continue the way they are living. Or they will say, there is climate change, but we cannot do anything about it, so we continue living the way we live. But some people, like myself and the family there that I showed on the video, actually changed their life. They resettled, they relocated. Changing lifestyle cannot happen by just discussing PowerPoints. No, we really have to move our ass out of the cities and to the countryside. You know, so if we want a mechanism for change, I have 3 steps. No, they follow: change of heart, social change, and then climate change. If we do not change our heart and actually eat more vegetarian food, if we are not going to change our job from producing more waste to producing more crops out of our own hands, if we are not going to change our economic system, then we cannot have the social change that will change the climate back to the right temperature. So the social change also that will happen if some people change their heart, eventually there will be a social change. No, the social change will come from our education. Pero pareho pa rin. We are doing the same educational system. But if we really want to change the climate, all our educational system has to be thrown out, because the educational system is meant for us to serve the economic system that destroyed our planet. Okay? So we also need cultural change. Oh, my friend here, Mike, yeah, he built the Birdland Beach Club. It's a very popular resort, all made of native materials, bamboo, and you can search it in the internet. No, so he has Kubu hotels. Why do we have to build these big buildings for hotels? No, when people will just stay for 2-3 days to see the natural beauty of the beaches and the sea and the mountains. So to cut it short, we need cultural change. And then we need also social change, the real social dynamic. Our political and the economic also is related to the social change that we want. Ang nangyayari is pareho pa rin. The same politics, the same that destroyed the planet is maintained. Di ba? The same corruption that destroyed the planet is going on. So if we don't change the social, economic and political situation of our country, we will not be able to change the climate. No, now, if we want to change the climate back to the right temperature, we need spiritual change to do it. We need renewable energy to change it. We have to change our own technologies that we got used to, like what was discussed by the Rotarian, the cars and all of that, And most important thing for the Philippines, we have to change our land use policies or land use customs, yung mga nakasanayan na natin na paggamit ng lupa. We have to plant more trees. We have to have more greens. So to end this presentation, we already have the business model to do this. And the Enya company was established to make this change happen. As I said, to end this, to address the Manila Bay group, that the reality is Manila has to be decongested. If we really want to reduce carbon dioxide, there is no other way than obliterating the cities. The cities put so much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Diba? And we cannot prevent people from going to the cities from the countryside. No? So if we do not have a mechanism for moving people, literally moving people out from the urban areas to the rural area, we will not be able to reduce our carbon dioxide. So that is, sorry that our proposal is very radical. No, we don't believe that the extreme situation of the climate crisis can be solved by small steps. We need radical, we need massive and swift change. Radical, massive, and swift change. If we don't do that, we are just hypocritical. No? We are just playing with words. Like the presentations we have, all the presentations. Oh, ganda. Diba? Nothing changed. Okay, thank you. Yun lang po for 15 minutes. Salamat po.
Well, that was the most radical 15 minutes I've heard in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you buy
yes,
my book, by the way, Pilgrimage to Paradise.
Okay.
I made it myself. Book binded it myself. Pilgrimage to Paradise. A proposal for climate change adaptation by Mr. Hillary.
Well, thanks.
Sige po. Thank
Finally.
you.
Okay, you're
Maganda po.
welcome, sir. Yes. Ingat po kayo dyan and wish you all the luck.
Sige po. Thank you.
Okay.
You come and visit also our climate change adaptation model
Sige, please, we
called
will.
Birdland
And
Care Commune.
yes, perhaps you could talk about it more when we have time. Better time, not 15 minutes.
Okay, sige po. Thank you.
Yes, okay. Maraming salamat po.
Mm.
And yes, can we, David, is Dan still around?
Yes, Dan is still around.
Yeah,
I asked him to stay.
yes, perhaps you could help me out now with the questions for Dan, please.
Okay. First of all, thank you, Sir Hilary Pangan, for that very good presentation, and indeed radical presentation. Thank you, thank you. And ingat po kayo dyan. No, mahirap yung panahon ngayon. Salamat po. There are a few questions that has been asked. Let's go back to the questions. But while I was doing that, I think I saw Chot Velasquez of Action Kalikasan raising his hand a while ago. Sir Chot?
Yes, this is for Dan Renner. Are you the guy with arrow in East Marble? Dan Renner.
I'm sorry.
There's a bit of a feedback.
Anyway, Dan, just to, this is not actually a question, but just a comment about your presentation. Or maybe I can ask. Our problem, I think, is how to situate the impact, or how to know the impact of carbon to the degradation of Manila Bay. It is because the situation in Manila. Our problem is that we have polluted air, right?
Mhm.
And whenever it rains, that pollution gets carried into first to the ground and then to Manila Bay. But we have no data, at least there is none that I know, about how much of that air pollution translates into water pollution. So
No.
I think that is an area that would be of more most relevant to our issue at hand in this Congress. It is because everybody is focusing on the solid waste and water pollution. But whatever is up there in the air goes down. Is that correct, Red?
Yep.
Yeah, but we don't have a data in regard to how much of that air pollution caused by vehicular emissions is amounting to water pollution as of the moment. And I think one of the things that we tend to ignore is that acid rain actually destroys the buildings, right? You see buildings are rotting. It's because of the acid rain. As of the moment, I think that's being neglected. We don't see it as if it is not happening, as if it is not there. So if you have some ideas, if you have some figures, I think that would be appreciated. That would be well appreciated. The discussion.
Okay. What I can offer, the little data I can offer, is that in past Manila air quality testing, they have basically stated that 68% of the particles in the air are from automobiles, the carbon particles. So of those 68%, if we took all the vehicles in Manila and put this particular device on them. The diesel devices, we would reduce those black carbon particles by, we're government verified, DOST verified, to reduce by 75%. So that's 75% of the 68% that we would knock out of the air just like that. I happen to know that actually the WHO finally came out with a paper on black carbon where they finally stated that yes, black carbon is a major contributor to climate change because black carbon goes up in the air and it sits there and the sun comes through it, hits the surface, bounces back up, hits the black carbon and bounces back down instead of being radiated out into the space where it should be. That heats up the planet. So whether you're talking air or water, because the heating up of the planet is for both. It doesn't matter which one. You're heating up the whole planet, not just the air or water. So that, even though black carbon is what you call, I think it's called a short-lived pollutant. I may not have the words exactly correct, but it's along that lines. It's short-lived, yes, but the problem is every day it's renewed, every single day. Trucks are out there driving, jeepneys are out there driving, motorcycles are driving, and we know motorcycles pollute, contribute a lot to the black carbon as well, because before we put our device on a tricycle, if you pull the spark plug, you'll see it's black. It's black soot inside the engine, and that black soot is also coming out. But after we put it in, we have drivers pull the spark plug and take a picture and send it to us, and those spark plugs are white. There's no more black carbon on them. So there is no measurement for black carbon on the tricycles, but we know we're removing it from the air. And on the diesels, we're verified to exactly do that. So we're not cutting it out completely, but we're taking a huge chunk out of what's going to be bouncing the sun back down, or what's going to be washed out into the bay and that sort of thing. We're taking a huge chunk out. So I hope that answered your question, Ro.
Thank you, Dan. I think Sir Larry is still here, right? Larry, Chairman Larry, dito ka ba?
Opo.
Yeah.
Opo. Meron pa akong
May
10
mga
minutes.
questions kasi like from Raul Norber. Sir Larry, are you guiding the urbanites on how to become rural dwellers? Please clarify.
Opo, that is the hard truth, that we can no longer urbanize, that we can no longer stay. Sir David, you have to go back na go to my place and stay here. That is the truth. That as directly as that. Si Chot, you have to leave Manila na and go to the province. Yun ang natin. We already have the technology. It's not a technological problem, by the way. We can explain about carbon dioxide and all the black carbon or whatever. If we don't move our ass, it's useless. It's already proven by literature that we cannot solve the environment, the ecological problem with technology. We can only solve it by changing our lifestyle. So unfortunately, that is the only way. If we compromise, kailangan gawin ito, too late. We have only 9 years to do this. The urgency is there because it's not possible with the way we are doing it now. Garbage, ayusin natin yung turn off natin yung ilaw natin, ganun. It will not solve it. There is no mathematical model that will say it's possible to solve the climate issue by just sitting on our ass in the cities.
There's another question here from Charles, Sir Larry. Sir Larry, as much as you can divulge everything as per your guiding principle towards environmentalism, I am curious if you are familiar or even have read the works of Murray Bookchin.
Hindi ko po alam. I suppose maybe he's a pharmaculturist. I don't know the name.
Okay. Also, there are, Sir Anton, may mga nag-raise din ng hands, Sir Anton?
Yes. Well, before we acknowledge those who have raised their hands, may I just ask one little question, Sir Larry?
Sure. Go ahead.
You know, the biggest concern of people here people are flocking in Manila or staying in Manila precisely because of opportunities, jobs, or businesses. Now, how do we actually convince these people to go back to the province where they came from, wherein they're now saying that they didn't have much opportunities there. That's the only reason why they are now here in Manila. So how do we convince them to reverse that mindset? Please, Sir Larry.
Yeah. If we get a blessing from the COVID, they say statistics says that about 20% of the people in Manila moved already to the province. So it's possible, no? If you want to know about the history of the homesteaders that left Luzon because of the insurgency during the time of Magsaysay, they went to Mindanao, diba? That it is possible to change. That's the first one, diba? It is not impossible, diba? It is possible for people like me and like Michael, the one I showed. Michael is professor of Native American history in Berkeley, you know, and that's we have to do it also systematically. There is a mechanism for the change to happen, and that's what we are doing in what we call the 9 systems of sustainability. We have to have in one place, like say 50 hectares or 12 hectares, then all the 9 systems of sustainability, so that people will move. If they are faced with rural stagnation, then they will tend to go back to the cities. That's why we have to do all instead of us wasting our money in the DNR program, 48 billion they used for the National Greening Program, we should have already started building these care communes. We call it care communes, where people can move from the city to the province. Like in my place, we have 50 hectares of and all 70% of that is forest. No, we have internet. We don't have internet because of the access. I mean, we have washing machine in my place. We have solar. I'm off grid. I don't pay electricity, diba? From the one. We have a swimming pool. It's a good life, no? We are enjoying good food. No, in my place, we can do our school there. The 9 systems of sustainability is the food forest system, the organic farming system, the green business system. We need to transition, so we need money, diba? And then we have the craft village system. For our to reduce our waste, we have to create more things from indigenous materials. Then we have the green school system, the alternative education system, and then we have the green architecture system, and then we have the earth commune system. The way we organize ourselves has to be more with in line with biomimicry, diba? Our society now is very artificial. That's why our political system is also artificial. No, if we make it more mimic the biological world, maybe we will be more happy as a society. Then we should have the off-grid system, a system of using technology, or choosing the technology that will help the earth flourish, not the technologies that will destroy, the earth. And then we should have a hope inculturation system, a kind of spirituality system that will give people hope in time of disasters. I'm talking to you with the assumption that catastrophes will happen already in 5-6 years, no? Not in 10 years, but in 5-6 years from now, 5 years, or even 3 years, many people are saying, or even now as we speak, people are already in catastrophe, diba? So what do you do with catastrophe? Diba? The answer is hope, diba? In despair, you have to have hope. That's why we have to inculturate that. Otherwise, our children will just commit suicide. You know that there is a lot of there is a pandemic of suicide as we speak. So we need to have that. Those 9 systems are needed for us to have hope. The 9th system, the spirituality system, will not work if there is no organic farming, if there is no reforestation, if there is no renewable energy system. The 9th system will not work. So thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Punta na kami.
Okay. Very, very revealing and very, very thought-provoking yung mga narratives ni Sir Larry.
No, it's sir, it's us moving. Us
Oh.
moving. We move our puwet na. No?
Yeah.
So,
Us and us moving. Okay.
I'm
Actually,
walking
tama
out
yan,
to go
very
back to
good
Zambales.
insight. Ingat, Chairman Larry. No? Very good insight. Actually, this is the same thing that I think there's a forum on Green Convergence before. Nasabi ko dun sa forum na yon, meron silang zero emission, zero carbon by 2050. Sabi ko, it should not be 2050. We might not have the chance to be on 2050. And also, the thing is, sabi rin ni Joey Ayala, ito yung gusto ko
2004 na, 20
yung sabi ni Joey Ayala, kahit anong gawin natin
2024
sa
na ata yung
Pilipinas, it will not be very efficient if the other people in the world is not doing it. Kasi lalo na dito, the global north ang talagang may kasalanan for the of everyone. Kahit tayo, zero dito lahat. Naka-care commune tayong lahat dito. If other people in the global north will not do anything, we will still face disaster. At least, sabi nga ni kasamang Larry, we will be ready for it. But this is a thing that should involve changing our lives, changing the government. If we cannot change the government, we should change the government and do something about it. Kasi kung iilan lang tayo, mahirap din yan na mangyayari. Talagang napakahirap na gawin ang pagbabago. Kasi change, hindi, para sa akin, hindi masama small step. Change begins with small steps, and those small steps become larger. And when those steps become larger, then we can change people's perceptions and people's lives. So mahalaga ang mga simpleng, kasi hindi natin mapabago talaga lahat eh. Hindi ba pwedeng biglaan? Maraming na hindi kaya ng biglaan. So may nagre-raise na rin ng hand si kasamang
si
Jeff Ramos.
Jeff.
Yes, Jeff.
Andiyan pa ba si Sir Larry? Napaka-provoking yung kanyang mga
Yes
sinasabi.
po, malapit na. I'm in the car now.
Okay.
I'm
Sir
in the car
Larry,
now.
is there any chance that the government bump to this idea that you have? And then ano ba yung naging tugon nila doon sa pinopropose natin na radical, swift, and agad-agad na changes na to?
I was a manager of Gina Lopez in his farm for almost 3 years. No? And then when she became DNR secretary, I was hired as consultant to write something about the national greening program, research something on it and write. That's where I discovered that it already used 48 billion pesos. Diba? So I have no hope in the government as of now that they will give me 48 billion to do what
Yeah,
I'm doing.
exactly.
Diba? But kasi the best chance
Oo,
already
oo.
was with Gina Lopez. So I made the
Oo.
design for the care commune, submitted it to them, and then it didn't happen. So I wrote the book. So our next best thing is the private sector to read the book and then implement it. You know, Michael, he is professor of Native American history in Berkeley, and he read the book and changed. He's may pera siya eh. He owns a lot of condos and properties in the US, and he moved. No, there's another guy who read my book who bought also property to complete the 50 hectares. He is graduate of Yale, a lawyer, very good lawyer, and very rich also. He joined this because he's concerned about his 5 children, all graduate of Ateneo, no? And what will happen to them? And the children are asking him, what are we going to do? Greta Thunberg story like that. And he moved his us. He's not yet with us, but he is financing. No, there's another guy, si Gary Laureano. He's a businessman, a millionaire businessman. So he also helped. No, so the private sector has a big role. We will wait after the election. If we get an environmental president, then we can engage the government. But as of now, it's only a footnote for them. The climate change is only a footnote. They're so busy in their campaigns that they cannot attend to climate change. Okay. So the government is inutil. They will just
Sir,
give you
follow-up
PowerPoint
question.
presentations.
Sir, follow-up question, sir.
Apo.
Can we, pwede bang, paano natin ito madadala sa perspektibo ng kultura at sining? Kasi sa tingin namin, isa rin na pwedeng maging daluyan nito ay ang sining at kultura. Kung saan ako bahagi, isa akong direktor po, at pwede natin dalhin dito sa mga komunidad na pwede natin mabigyan ng edukasyon. Paano natin to ita-translate into that kind of form?
Meron pong, ang focus namin sa culture is on green architecture. And green architecture is very wide. It's not about buildings. It's about designing our communities, using indigenous materials, using our culture, going back to the paradise state. And also we have what we call the number 4 system, which is the art and craft village system. We really have to get away from the art that develop out of the destruction of the planet. Di ba? Ang dami natin mga art na nanggaling sa manufacturing, nanggaling sa pollution, nanggaling sa, we really have to change culture. in order, that is in the social change part.
Just give answer my point.
Okay po.
Okay, maraming salamat sir. Hope to meet you someday para ma-discuss nyo sa amin yung culture aspect nito. Thank you.
Opo.
Sila Kalesa.
Oh.
Yung Kalesa doon sa harap. And they'll use a bamboo jeepney to take picture.
Maraming salamat. Thank you, Chairman Pangan. Ingat kayo dyan. Balik naman tayo, Sir. Last question for Sir Dan Rainer. Are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Raul Norbe asked a while ago, I think if you could answer this live. How many number of tricycles or buses, have you answered it already? It may be able to remove how much volume of GHGs emission in the atmosphere?
Well, it's kind of hard to total it all out, but in the presentation, I had 1,000 tricycles. If you only count CO2, which is just one of the GHGs, then we'll remove 760 tons per year. So with 5 years of tricycle engine life, you figure that's about 3,800 tons total for 1,000 tricycles. That's what just the CO2. That doesn't count the hydrocarbons. It doesn't count the carbon monoxide, which again, carbon monoxide is the gas that will kill you if you go into a garage, start up your car, and close all the doors and windows. That's the gas that will kill you, not CO2. So nitrous oxide, methane, black carbon, all of these. It's hard to quantify all of them, but just CO2 alone, for 1,000 vehicles, we can knock out 3,800 tons in 5 years.
Sir Anton, is anybody
Yep.
want to still ask questions? I think that's
Well,
yes,
yeah,
sir,
that's. I think we've covered enough area for this, and yeah, thank you very much, Dan, for your time and your research. Obviously, that's a very tough research you did.
I've had a long time to do it.
Yeah. And sometimes that's the only problem that we have. I mean, you could come up with a research like that, but how people will actually appreciate it is the problem. And people get bored with so many carbon particles, if you put in a lot of those technical terms. But however, what you've presented is great because people will now start researching on what you just researched. Okay. Yeah, and you've just increased the level of awareness on on our carbon pollution and air pollution situation. Thank you very much, Dan.
You're welcome. And if I may, could I leave you with
Sure.
one more tidbit? Per Philippine law, hydrocarbon emissions. Remember, hydrocarbon equals fuel.
Mhm.
Hydrocarbon emissions for a gasoline car are limited to 800 particles per million. For a tricycle, that limitation is 7,800. That's Philippine law.
What happened?
Good question.
Beats me, Dan. I really don't know.
I have no idea, but that is the amount of pollution that is allowed for tricycles and motorcycles.
Well, now I don't wonder why a lot of people would rather buy a motorcycle than a car. More permissive then.
A lot more permissive, unfortunately. But we've knocked that down actually as far as from the limit of 7,800. We've knocked it down. We have a fellow who reported his hydrocarbon emissions were 26.
I think carbon emissions about 10. I mean, that's permissive. I don't know. I'm not sure about the name.
What the limit is 7,800,
Oh, okay.
and he registered measured at an LTO emission test at 26
Whoa.
with our device.
That's worrisome.
Worrisome? That's fantastic. To get that low, that's 0.3% of the legal limit.
Okay, okay. No, I probably didn't catch the number quite properly. Anyway, yeah, if you say it's good, then I will take your word for it.
I think there's also a very good question before we leave. How can we buy the device, Dan? Asked by Sir Andrew Cesarimando.
Oh, if you like to buy the device, you can go to on Facebook. You can look for Engine Ecology, and you'll find a page with our black and green logo. If you see that black and green logo, that's our page, and you're welcome to message us, and we can do it there. Our office is based in Quezon City, Katipunan, Quezon City. So you can always come by there. Stop on by. We'll pop it right in for you. No charge for installation.
I think that's all. Sir Anton?
Yep. Okay. Yeah, Dan. Thank you for your time, and we're glad you're here, and quite an interesting discussion with you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
You're very welcome.
Stay on. Stay on and listen to more.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Dave. I really don't have the details for the next resort speakers. Can you please?
Thank you, Sir Anton. You had been in charge of a very, very interesting discussion, eye-opening, and
I don't know. Did you put me here on purpose?
I don't know. Perhaps it was divine intervention.
Yeah. Go
But
ahead.
thank you very much. You had been at the right moderating position. Thank you, Sir Anton. Now let's go to our next moderator to moderate the last topic for the day. He is again, let me introduce to you again, the party secretary and LGBTQ plus convener. And he will be hosting the last topic for today, Mr. Jeff Ramos. Our last topic is community-based initiatives that help restore the environment. So this is for the non-government and non-business sector. Jeff?
Okay, maraming salamat. Thank you very much. Okay, for our next for our next speaker, nakasama na natin siya kaninang umaga, and he will be back for another presentation. He is the current president of Action Kalikasan, Sociology PUP, Advocacy Officer ng Sagip Pasig Movement, and staff din ng City Environment and Natural Resources Office in San Juan, Environmental Management Committee Pasig Movement, and wait, nabasa ko yung notes ko dito. Vice Chair ng TWG Bioremediation Project, affiliation, kapisanan ng mga katutubong mamamayan ng Maharlika Incorporated, Calabar Zone. Walang iba, syempre, ang ating very reliable Mr. Precious Chot E. Velasquez. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Yung presentation ni Sir Larry somehow forced me to rethink right now yung ginagawa ng Action Kalikasan. So I'm refraining in the presentation on the basis of what we have just discussed mula to sa presentation of Chairman Larry. Diyan pa ba si Chairman Larry? Because I'm now living in Laguna, so no longer reside in Quezon. Anyway, Dave, can you upload yung aking, can you share my presentation? So, ang pinag-uusapan ay yung mga community-based initiatives, mga solutions. So, parang ang tanong diyan ay, mayroon bang ibang solution na mag-work? Kasi doon sa kay Chairman Larry, parang ang solution wala sa city, ang solution ay moving out of the city. So yun yung direction ng kay Chairman Larry. Meron ba, what if we don't get out of the cities? Meron bang mga solutions? So i-present natin ilan sa mga ginagawa ng Action Kalikasan. So meron kaming mga community-based initiatives, and the CBIs, we call it CBIs, helping helping restoring the environment, specifically the Manila Bay region. So ano ba yung mga yun? Next slide, please. So ang Action Kalikasan, ang unang gusto kong pag-usapan natin o linawin, ano ba yung definition ng community? So, ang community as I will be using it right now ay hindi limited sa geographically congregated na mga tao. Kasi ang karaniwan, pagka tinukoy natin yung community, ang nasa isip natin ay isang localized area, anywhere in the country, any part of the world. Tapos yung mga tao magkakasama doon. At sila yung mga tulungan. They share so many things. Ang isa doon, yung kanina binanggit yung culture. Ako. Hello, yeah. May ano ba? Okay na ba yung sound ko? Kasi medyo umaambon dito sa lugar ko ngayon. Baka yun ang isang dahilan kaya humihina.
May konti
okay
lang na feedback yung mic.
Meron pa ba hanggang ngayon?
Yes, yes, President. May konting feedback.
I do not know how to resolve.
Baka sa
How about that?
Yan, okay na. Ayan.
Okay na? Okay.
Baka sa pagkakasaksak ng dulo ng headset yung earphone, kaya ganun.
Posible. Alright, so going back, no? Ang community, as I would be using it right now, includes yung connected individuals, who are sharing something in common, at least something in common. So that hindi ito limited doon sa isang geographic location na may mga tao, no? As a matter of fact, pwedeng merong isang area, isang place na may mga tao doon, pero yung mga tao, they are not sharing anything with one another. They are not communing. So that ang tawag natin doon is just a crowd, no? Or a mob, something like that. Not a community. So ang isang element ng community ay yung communing. They commune, they share. No? And I think ang isa pang idea about the community is that for a certain time, yung certain length of time, ay they are interacting and they are sharing things. So hindi yung in just 1 hour or 1 day or not even few days or few months, no. So for quite some time na itong mga taong ito ay magkakasama interacting with one another and sharing things. I think that is a fair definition of what the community is. And it is on the basis of that na ang reference ko na ang Action Kalikasan ay mayroong community-based initiatives. So kami ay isang community na meron kaming initiatives at dinadala rin namin ito actually sa mga local communities na mga partners namin. So that is what we do. Now, ang Action Kalikasan ay merong 4 basic areas of operations. Next slide, please. So, ayan po, no, yung operations map ng Action Kalikasan. Ang unang-una ay meron kaming education for sustainable development. Pero yung susunod ko mga slides ay hindi susundan ito ng gano'n. Basta yung 4 na yan. One is we have education for sustainable development. And then secondly, meron kaming green governance program. Pangatlo, meron kaming ecopreneurship, no, and green enterprise development. At pang-apat, meron kaming membership, organization development, and expansions, or we call it AK mode. Meron kaming isang gusto i-develop at nasimulan naman na namin through online na training, yung gender and sustainable development. So that's an area na we hope to develop in the coming days. So, isa-isahin natin itong mga areas na ito na ginagawa ng Action Kalikasan. Slide. Okay, so one is yung green governance. Nabanggit na ni Dave kanina, ni President Dave, na ang Green Party of the Philippines ay actually nagmula sa Action Kalikasan. But other than Green Party of the Philippines, mayroong mga naunang initiatives pa ang Action Kalikasan, and that includes yung Barangay Green Governance. So meron kaming ganon, no, na Barangay Green Governance. We provide training sa mga barangay LGUs. No? But ito ang isa sa ginagawa namin. The other thing is we want to include now yung local special bodies. No? We want to sit doon sa mga local special bodies na nasa disenyo ng gobyerno, no, ng Philippine government system. No? Yung mga civil society organization ay merong chance to become a part of the local special body. So, yun yung isang gusto namin ipursu kasi ang difference ito is that in the past, yung barangay green governance, parang hit and run lang kami. No? Pagkatapos namin silang i-engage, magkaroon ng training, magkaroon ng workshop. No? Tapos noon, ay tigil yung engagement namin sa kanila and then we go back kung meron pa silang interest. But what if hindi ma-sustain yung relationship between us and the LGU, no? Like the barangay. No? For any reason, like disinterest on us, disinterest on their end, no? Or mutual disinterest with one another, no? Which is, pangatlo ay hindi maganda. No? Actually, anything na magiging cause para hindi ma-sustain yung relationship ay hindi maganda. So ano ang mas mabuting alternative to that? So we're thinking na ang engagement through the local special body ay isang mas sustainable pamamaraan, no, ng pag-engage sa local government units ng Pilipinas, ng ating gobyerno. And the other thing is we are looking forward for Green Party of the Philippines to become truly successful. No? Truly successful in a sense na makakapag-formulate siya ng mga environmental laws and also may lalabi ito sa national level. And finally, may enact. And of course, hindi lang yung enactment, kundi yung implementation ng mga environmental laws na ito. So this is one area ng operation ng green governance ng Action Kalikasan. And then, secondly, no, other than green governance, meron din kaming education for sustainable development. So ito, iniisip ko, yung bang aming education ay kasama doon sa sinasabi ni Chairman Larry we will have to throw out kasi yung education as we know it right now, ito yung nagke-create, nagsusustain ng present system of the country. So, yung bang ginagawa ngayon ng Action Kalikasan na education ay kapareho din nun o merong ibang direction yung Action Kalikasan. Of course, I'd like to think no, na ang direction ng Action Kalikasan is not to help sustain the present order no, yung status quo, kundi we want to disrupt no, and change the direction of our society. In fact, I think ang isang connection nito is we want Action Kalikasan to have international presence. No? And by that, ay makapag-contribute kami doon sa campaign para magbago yung direction ng buong mundo in regard to our environmental concerns. Ano po? So, among the things that we do ay yung Green Leadership Academy. In the past, nung wala pa yung pandemic, na-organize namin ito, pero with the pandemic, we have to shift doon sa webinar. No? So, online trainings kami and information campaign. So, yun nga at present, yung pinaka-head or main course ng aming operations. No? And the other thing is we strengthen yung ako at ang kalikasan. Partly, it's because ito yung pinaka potentially isa sa pinakamalaki ang pwede maging impact in terms of educating and also disseminating information na gustong i-deliver ng Action Kalikasan. And somehow, meron naman kami nakikita na mga successes din sa may area na yan. No? So that's another thing that we are working on. And then we want to do green enterprise and ecopreneurship development. So ano ito? No? So for one, gusto namin na magpasimula ng eco tours for the conservation of heritage, and we started doing that sa Lumban, Laguna. Sapagkat yung Lumban ay isang heritage site ng Pilipinas. Not only yung Lumban River, kung hindi itong Lumban River kasi karugtong ito ng Pagsanhan River, no? And Pagsanhan Falls is famous for that, no? Yung Pagsanhan Falls, no? And then nagde-drain itong Pagsanhan Lumban River sa Laguna Dibay, no? Which is a very important water body. Kaya kung magiging successful yung green enterprise dito, we are looking forward na magkakaroon talaga ng isang ng mga concrete na impact doon sa rehabilitation ng Manila Bay. And then the other thing is we published the book written by Sir Deus Dosande. And ang title nito ay Food Sustainability to Fight Poverty. Pero ito ay hindi lang about food sustainability and fighting poverty. It's actually about conserving yung mga halaman na hindi pinapansin ng mga Pilipino. No? So itong mga pagkain na ito ay nakapalibot sa atin and we consider them in general as weeds. No? It's because we do not know na ito pala ay kinakain. Ako, ang dami palang mga halaman na sa paligid ko na nakakain pero hindi ko alam. No? So I'm ignorant. No? That is something na buksan yung isipan ko dito sa sinulat na ito ni Sir Deus. So we published that book and we want to expand yung publication ito to include more contents. No? So that's another thing. And we also want to bring in together yung mga enterprises and help them and hopefully guide them to become green, no? Green enterprise. No? So yun yung isang direction na gusto namin work under sa enterprise and ecopreneurship development. And then ito na yung mode, no? Yung membership and all development and expansions. So ang isang kinrate namin dito, yung tinatawag namin na Action Kalikasan Board. So ito yung mga members. Action Kalikasan in itself kasi ay it's a training institution. You know? So, tsaka maraming mga programs dito. So, we need an organization na talagang ang focus ay para doon sa members niya. And so, for that, we created yung Action Kalikasan Board. So that's one, no? And yung acronym ay AKO. No? So if you become a member of Action Kalikasan, you can put that, no? Member AKO. So member a dot k dot o dot. So member AKO. So the other thing that we are working on is connecting to other organizations. So yung linkages and partnerships with other organizations na pwedeng makatulong sa amin or pwede namin matulungan. So yung mga mutually beneficial relationships. No? Kagaya dito, no, because I'm now residing in Paete, Laguna, ang isang kinonta ko dito itong Farm C, no? Yung mga local fishermen na sila ay mga bantay lawa din. So, ang tawag sa kanila ay Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Municipal Council. So, sila ay FarmC. So, ito, na-meet ko sila. And sila yung nagbabantay sa lawa ng Laguna mula doon sa mga taga-Paite. So, this is one of the things that we do sa Action Kalikasan. Ang isang ina-engage namin na binanggit ko din dyan ay yung kapisanan ng mga katutubong mamamayan ng Maharlika. Because I was appointed as regional director ng Calabar Zone. So we want to bring in together Action Kalikasan Org and yung kami or yung kapisanan ng mga katutubong mamamayan ng Maharlika. Dahil kasi ito ay mayroong environmental agenda. So the idea is for kami, and we have in our database 35,000 members na mag-a-adapt ng mga programs ng Action Kalikasan. At sila ay maging member ng Action Kalikasan Board. So, itong sa next na slide, please. Makikita dito yung binanggit ni Dave na ang Green Party of the Philippines and Action Kalikasan actually share the same environmental agenda items. So ito yun, no? Yung una. Although hindi magkapareho yung pagkakasulat nitong nandito ngayon sa kanyang mga ipinablish ng GPP. But they are actually the same na content. No? We are focusing on pollution and waste management, organic agriculture, food security and safety. 3 ay greening of human settlements. 4 green governance. 5 climate action. 6 biodiversity conservation. 7 forest cover. 8 mining. 9 renewable energy. And 10 ay protection of the right to self-determination in the pursuit of sustainable development. So this is basically para doon sa mga indigenous people natin. So now working on yung triple bottom lines, no? Yung strategies, yung people, planet, and profits. Ang reviewing yung SEC law, yung Corporation Code of the Philippines, I realized na yung mga limitations na SEC registration. So we're thinking of engaging the cooperatives para doon sa profits. Ang mahirap kasi sa non-profit organizations, you have no profit. At kapag ka wala kang nakukuhang support, no, wala kang patron, no, na magpo-provide sa iyo ng finances, ang hirap mag-operate. So yun ang isang predicament ni Action Kalikasan as of the moment. We haven't successfully done anything to get funding from outside. And in the past, we have been sustainable kasi may mga nagpa-participate sa mga programs namin. But with the pandemic, yun ang naapektuhan ng gusto. So yun yung isang limitation natin. Ano po? So, one of the ways para ma-address ito is by getting into the cooperative. And right now, we are joining yung Lupang Agricultural Multipurpose Cooperative. So ito ay naka-base sa Calabar Zone. And through them, we also wish to engage yung local special body ng provinces, 5 provinces of Laguna. And that would become yung aming mga prototype models para doon sa kung paano i-carry out yung mga programs ng agriculture. Now, going back doon sa may question, ito ba ay is this the right way? Kasi ang sinasabi kanina ng message ni Chairman Larry is that Sabi niya sa akin, di ba? Chot, move out of the city, go to the province. No? So right now, I'm residing here in Laguna. Ang nakikita ko rin dito sa Laguna is that ang direction niya is urbanizing. No? So dumadami na rin yung mga tao na naturally or organically kasi nanganak yung mga tao. Mas maraming pinapanganak rin sa mga pumapanaw. No? So nag-expand yung population ng areas. No? And it's becoming more and more urban. No? At yung problema ng cities, kung ano yung problema ng NCR na despite the wealth of NCR ay hindi niya solve yung problema niya. How much more yung mga urbanizing places in the countryside. Merong bahagi ito no, sa bundok. Pero yun, somehow it's also cut off. No? So yun ang isang interest ko no, bilang presidente ng Kalikasan. Saka also bilang isang sociologist na how feasible yung sinasabi ni Chairman Larry. And actually, on my personal capacity, I created an academic program way back in I taught this actually sa graduate school. Ang title is Environmental Resilience Management. Now, I'll be honest kung ano yung aking argument doon. No? Kasi I was requested by my teacher back then in graduate school to teach about environment sa mga pastors. And sabi ko sa kanya, there is no more point learning about yung most of what we need to do. Siguro parang ganon din kay Chairman Larry. Baga, well, I did not say na abandon the city. Pero ang sinasabi ko is that what we should learn is environmental resilience management. Kahit na anong gawin natin na conservation, kapag ka dumating yung catastrophe, and I really think hindi natin mapipigil yung pagdating ng mga catastrophe na yan. Sinasabi, yung time element, we don't have enough time. But how much of our efforts globally ay sufficient para ma-reverse no, or slow down enough yung crisis, no, yung emergency. I don't think na sufficient siya. And so, I think the catastrophes are happening right now and there are more to come. The question is, what should we be doing? So, ang tingin ko, our education and our engagement should be geared towards environmental resilience. And that's what we should be managing, environmental resilience. Babawi yung kalikasan in itself. At tayo din naman on our own ay hindi tayo ma-wipe out. No? Kasi siyempre pagka na-wipe out ka, then you're out of the game. No? So we have to survive. Yun ngayon yung tanong. How do we survive and how we return back doon sa from where we are hit by these things na tinatawag natin catastrophes, disasters, or environmental hazards or natural hazards, and they are coming our way. Yun ang isang tinitignan ko. Perhaps Action Kalikasan should be framed towards that, no? Towards environmental resilience management. There is wisdom in what Chairman Larry said, no? Tungkol doon sa moving out of the city and enjoying the neighborhood or the countryside. But the cities will not fade away. And I think yung catastrophe na dala-dala ng city, ay madadala din yan doon sa countryside. Halimbawa, yung air pollution. Hindi yung porkit nandoon ka sa countryside, hindi makakarating sa pollution ng yun. Makakarating at makakarating depende sa concentration. No? Like, yung pollution ng NCR, maabot na yan sa Cavite, no? And some portions of Batangas, no? And Laguna. Ganon din sa papunta sa Bulacan. Kasi siyang malaki, na marami. So, yun I think yung kailangan nating pag-usapan. Are we framed doon sa environmental resilience management? And I think yung ating mga community-based initiatives should be based on that. No? Well, for Action Kalikasan, napakarami pa rin challenges namin. And one of it is, yun, we have to resolve the middle of this crisis ng pandemic, how do we sustain the organization, no? Our people and the planet, and then the profits na para meron kami pang operation. So these are the challenges. But sa lahat actually ng mga community-based initiatives. So hopefully nga merong mga incentives na makukuha anytime soon, no? As a result maybe Congress ng Kalikasan muna Congress. And with that, I'd like to end my presentation. I'm open for questions and comments or suggestions. Sa mga kalikasang hapon sa inyong lahat, maraming salamat sa event na ito sa mga participants and organizers. Thank you.
Ayan, maraming salamat, Mr. Precious Chot Velasquez. Ang ganda ng pangalan nyo, Precious. Parang si Mr. Hillary. Anyway, talagang nalito ko. Mr. tapos Precious. Anyway, maraming salamat, sir. Sir, sabihin ko lang sa inyo, dati part din ako ng Pasig River Rehabilitation something with former President and First Lady Ming Ramos. I was with Miss Celeste Legaspi sa River Watch. And nag-direct ako ng 5 consecutive river Global Parade na ginawa sa Pasig River mula sa Santa Ana papuntang Santa Cruz area. So dinirect ko yan. Ilan sa mga Global Parade na dinirect natin na may tableau and dramatic presentation was published in Manila Times that time and na-highlight yata one of their cover page. Anyway, sa mga gusto pong magtanong, let me know kung may mga tanong kayo kay Mr. Chot or anybody from us. Ako sir, ang tanong ko ngayon, with regards to all these problems, even the pandemic situation, paano tayo ngayon mag-a-adapt? Kasi ang hirap, walang face-to-face, ang hirap nung dinidiscuss natin kasi very detailed ang meron kayo and I think it's very critical yung talagang face-to-face meeting that we have to absorb all those informations and data that we have to know, especially pag ang pinag-uusapan natin ng environment, medyo parang sabihin na natin nakaka-toxic in a way, but if hindi ka talaga, kung wala talaga yung puso mo doon, hindi tayo magpo-prosper I mean, how are we going to adapt with the present situation?
Yeah. Sige, siguro Dave, pwede ka na munang sagutin, and then yung mga susunod na you can ask questions later. That it's really difficult. Pero I think the first thing that we have to look into ay yung ating individual health na conditions. Kasi pag nagkamali tayo, it would be so catastrophic na we will be booted out of the game. So, kaya ang pinagtatalunan kasi ngayon ay kung ikaw ba ay magiging bakunado, kung ikaw ba ay bakunayaw. No? So, si Dave ay bakunado na, no? Ako naman ay bakunayaw, no? So, doon sa Action Kalikasan, mainit din yung aming discussion diyan, no? Ano ba ang tama, no? And there must be good reasons, no, sa decision ng mga tao to have themselves vaccinated. And I would say we have also our reasons to choose not to be vaccinated. After all, hindi naman sapat yung bakuna no, na available. Let us assume na talagang that is the best way to get out of this. No? Hindi naman, walang 100, not even 25 million no, or 50 million na bakuna na available sa lahat ng mga Pilipino. No? Kaya hindi rin naman lahat talaga ay mababakunahan. And also sa perspektibo ng herd immunity, you don't have to vaccinate 100% of the population. Some estimates ay maybe 80% no, or 60% of the population. And you're talking of the adults. No? Anyway, no? So that's the first idea na I think kailangan natin i-address right now ay yung ating individual health so that hindi tayo yung mako-compromise because of this virus. And this is a relevant thing na pag-usapan dito. No? Dahil kasi uh, itong pandemic na ito ay it's like merong dalawang effect sa Manila Bay region. One, uh, yung air, sabi gano'n, ay medyo lumiwanag dahil hindi gaano makalabas yung mga tao. Pero yung water pollution ay hindi naman din bumaba. No? Kasi the same people. Pero siguro dahil nag-uwian sa probinsya yung iba, nabawasan siguro yung load ng pollution na sa Manila. So nakahinga ng konti siguro. No? I don't really have the data for that. But in fairness to DNR, they present data monitoring nila in the past few months, no, or at least years, ay steadily maganda ang nagiging condition ng Manila Bay water, yung quality nito. No? But with the pandemic right now, and we cannot stay locked up, no, for the rest of our lives. No? So kailangan nga natin na lumabas, kailangan natin mag-usap-usap. So the first thing to do again is to look into our health. Now, ngayon, at the same time, I think, kasi pinapayagan naman tayo somehow, no? We have to have a different mindset. And what is that mindset? Now, we are in the middle of a battle against an enemy that we cannot see. Kaya yung social distances natin, no? Yung ibang mga health protocols ay kailangan nating bantayan. No? Kasi by being alert, no, mapoprotektahan natin yung ating mga sarili when we go out. At kapag ka nagawa natin yon, then we can get back to the things that we should be doing. At ang environment ay nasa forefront, no? Kasi in the next decade, we will be expecting outbreaks, not necessarily pandemic, but outbreaks to epidemic. The question is, saan na naman manggagaling yan? Ang mga environmentalists ba ay aware ng role natin in the prevention of outbreaks tsaka ng mga pandemics or epidemic? Pero I can say now na when I was with Centro, kapag ka lumabas kami, dalawa magkasama, no? Yung health office tsaka yung environment office. It's because kapag ka, ano ba, sa septic tank, hanggat yung wastewater ay nasa loob ng septic tank, it is at health and engineering issues. Pero pagka ito ay lumabas na ng septic tank, it becomes an environmental issue. No? Meron ding health implications na engineering. But kasama palagi kami doon. Things like this ay dapat nating maintindihan bilang mga environmentalists. We play a critical role, and that also means we have to get out, get into the field para doon magawa natin yung ating trabaho. That is one thing, no? Yung keeping ourselves alive. The second thing is yung understanding yung bigger role natin sa society right now, and then upgrading ourselves. Siguro with that, na marami na tayong makukuha na ano mga pwede natin gawin to resolve our problems. Maybe kung sabing ganun na solve na yung climate change, ang kailangan na lang mag-change. So we just have to upgrade ourselves so that we can be the change that we want. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you for that question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chot. Ngayon naman, pumunta tayo sa ating next speaker. This is also a community initiative na meron tayo. He is a member of Volunteer Solution Permaculture member siya ng Participatory Guarantee System or PGS, Pilipinas Permaculture Practitioner, isang hardinero, sabi nga nila. It is our honor to have with us Mr. Sixto Bareber. Go ahead, Mr. Sixto, kung nandiyan na po kayo.
Magandang hapon po. Ma'am, sir, gusto ko sanang i-share yung aking PowerPoint. Meron ako dito. So, baka pwedeng gawa ko ng as admin. Ayun, sige. Thank you. Dito na.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Ayan, nakikita nyo na po.
Opo.
Ayan, magandang araw po sa lahat. Salamat po sa oras nyo at nandito po kayo sa Manila Bay Radio Kalikasan muna Congress. Ako po si Sixto, taga Marikina. Ayun nga po, isa po akong hardinero. Ngayon po, yung ano ko po sa inyo, yung ibabahagi ko po sa inyo ay patungkol po sa kung ano yung ginagawa ng aming kilusan, no? Itong solution permaculture. So ang permaculture hindi po hindi po siya isang NGO, actually isa siyang movement na na ginagawa namin sa mga communities, no? Kaya ang pinaka namin dito, ang pinaka number one na ginagawa ay ang pagbabahagi ng permaculture. So this is more about awareness, no, sa mga communities. So pag makita niyo sa mga litrato, no, ito sa mga iba't ibang probinsya po kami nagagawi para magbahagi ng permakultura. So ito nakikita nyo sa Santiago, meron din po sa kanan, sa taas yan sa Quezon City, Colisco, Waldorf, sa Kalinga, sa Bordeos po, at sa mga iba't ibang forum nandun po kami para mag-share ng permaculture. Tsaka sa mga dito po, sa mga factory workers, sa lahat po ng klase ng communities, no? Ito naman po, mga DepEd Kalinga po, nag-share din po kami dyan. So yan po, ngayon meron din po kaming ginagawa. Dati, nung wala pang pandemya, every Wednesday, nagtuturo po kami ng mga kabataan, no, ng life skills, no, permaculture for children. So importante po yung life skills, medyo nawawala na ngayon yan. So yan po yung mga ginagawa namin. Nandiyan po palagi yung community garden na aming aming hinihikayat palagi. And then ito po, meron po kaming Project Pusaka. Yung mga kapatid dating katutubo sa Zamboanga ay binabahagian namin ulit din sila ng permakultura para mag-resurface ulit, no, yung kanilang parang nawawala ng kultura. Ngayong pandemya po, mahirap lumabas, mahirap magbumiyahe, kaya patuloy po ang solution permaculture sa pagbigay ng mga konsepto, ng mga ideas, no, patungkol sa sustainable or regenerative lifestyle sa pamamagitan ng pag-i-engage sa mga webinars, sa online. So ito po, may isa po kaming kahit na yung mga community ng mga mountaineers, no, integrating permaculture into mountaineering. Ginagawa po din namin 'yan. So ito po yung pinakahuli kong mga webinars. Masyadong busy ako ngayon sa engganyo sa mga tao na pumunta, no, dahan-dahang magpunta sa tinatawag nating regenerative lifestyle. At tuwing Biyernes ng gabi, kung wala rin naman kaming masyadong ginagawa, nag-open po kami sa Facebook online po through Zoom ng Permaculture Friday, na kung saan ay nag-uusap lang kami doon patungkol sa mga projects, sa permaculture, mga ganun po. So ano po yung permaculture? Paano po namin ito ginagawa sa mga communities, no? Ang permaculture po kasi ay pagdidisenyo ng isang makakalikasang pamumuhay. So hindi po hindi po siya laang pagkakaakala ng iba ay nakatali lang po kami sa pagtatanim. No, hindi po sa kabuuan po yung permakultura ay hindi lang technology ng food production. Ang permakultura ay isang filosofiya, no? isang practice siya. Isa siyang kultura, yun na nga, na nakabase doon sa disenyo ng isang makakalikasang pamumuhay. So yung core ng permaculture ay pagdidisenyo at pagsasabuhay. So palaging dalawa po yan. So ang permaculture po ay meron po kaming tinatawag na yung nasa ilalim po kami ng balangkas ng tatlong palaasalan, no? Itong pangangalaga sa tao, sa kalikasan, tsaka yung makatwirang bahaginan. So ito yung mga gabay namin. At meron din po kami mga panuntunan kung paano maisagawa yung mga bagay-bagay. So, isa po sa ibinabahagi namin sa mga community, ito nga po, yung nangyayaring global warming, no, na kung titingnan natin ay isa talaga, no, may urgency para gawan po ng solusyon. So inaano namin yan, itinuturo namin, ibinabahagi namin sa kung ano ang naging sanhi, no, ng etong pag-init ng mundo. At yan ay isa sa mga bagay dito ay yung tinatawag na consumerism, no, yung pagbaha hindi lang po galing sa ulan, kundi galing po yan sa ginagawa natin pang araw-araw. So napansin naman natin, no, na marami ng mga aktivista, environmentalist, mga ganyan-ganyan. Pero kung yung ginagawa natin sa bahay ay sinusuportahan din natin o nakasandal din tayo sa mga mismong kumpanya na kinakalaban natin, ay hindi po tayo nagiging maayos na advocate ng environment. So hindi ko po, ang tinuturo po namin dito ay kung maaari, no, magkaroon ng shift sa mindset. No, hindi ko mahirap, no, may sakit tayo ngayon na nagkaroon na tayo ng kasanayan, no, sa pagsandal dito sa industrialisadong ekonomiya. Mahirap tanggalin kaagad, pero ang binabahagi po namin sa kanila ay dapat magkaroon ng transition. Importante yan. Hindi natin matatanggal lahat yan. May kasanayan tayo. So, yun yung binabahagi namin. At kung magpapatuloy itong ginagawa nating consumerism, pagkain sa McDonald's, tangkilik sa mga fast food, sa mga walang kabuluhang bagay, no, pag magpapatuloy itong consumerism na to, na nagkakaroon tayo ng mataas na carbon at ecological footprint. At yan ay magiging isang rason kung bakit magkakaroon tayo ng isang catastrophic na climate change na actually nangyayari na ngayon. So, inaano namin sa kanila, kailangan ma-establish namin na may problema ang ating mundo. At yan ay dala ng globalisasyon, dala ng isang tinatawag nating linear economy, no, isang industrialized global economy. So kailangan mag-shift tayo. So isa sa mga inaano namin is yung awareness nga, no, tinuturuan namin sila ng mga ganyang bagay, ine-empower namin sila. So ang isa sa mga bagay na inaano namin, ang sinasuggest namin sa kanila is to create a community garden. So bakit community garden? Kasi sa garden, halos diyan mo makikita ang lahat, no, yung natural system. Nandiyan yung sagot na makikita natin, no? Diyan natin pwedeng i-model yung mga negosyo natin, yung klase ng ecosystem na dapat nating tirhan. So sa pamamagitan ng pagga-garden, ano, makikita natin yung ugnayan ng mga bagay-bagay, no? Ang pinakamaganda dito, maiuugnay natin yung ano ang kinalaman, no, ng lupa sa ating paghinga. So malaking bagay 'yon, no? So kailangan maituro namin 'yon. At dito sa pagga-garden, makakaano sila, malalaman nila yung mga holistic approach sa maraming bagay. So hindi lang yan sa mga probinsya, no, pati sa mga syudad, nag-aano rin kami, nagtuturo din kami ng permaculture. Ini-empower din namin sila. At gaya ko, ayan yung bahay ko po, kahit na nasa isang urban setting ako, pinapractice ko yung tinuturo ko. Okay? At i-share ko yan sa Facebook ko at nag-iengganyo ko. Sa ganung bagay ay yung mga tao malalaman nila na kahit pala sa ganitong setting pwede tayong mag-practice ng permaculture. We can create ng isang ekosistema na gumagana. So, ito po yung mga garden ko. So, lahat yan, no, pilit kong ginagaya kung ano yung nasa natural system. At itong mga bagay na to, pag may garden ka na nagagawa, ang tinuturo namin sa kanila, ay magkaka-create ka ng isang ecology na sobrang giving, no? So mararanasan natin sa kanila sa pagkakaroon ng ganitong ecosystem, yung itinatawag nating ecological services. So pag mag-garden tayo, pagka magtanim tayo, okay, matututunan natin yung ecology, matututunan natin, mapapahalaga natin yung biodiversity na tinatawag. Matututunan natin yung tinatawag nating nutrient cycling. Okay? At dahil diyan, no, pagka nalaman natin yung patungkol sa ecological services, sa biodiversity, sa nutrient cycling, sa mga water cycle, yung nangyayari sa natural system, nagsisimula tayo maging empowered. So, empowerment yung nabibigay namin, no? So, ang core ng permaculture is designing. no? So para makapag-design sila, binibigyan namin sila ng tools, no, para makapag-disenyo. Pagka makakapag-design na sila, empowered na sila. So hindi ka pwedeng mag-design pag hindi mo alam ang nangyayari sa natural ecosystem, sa natural sa ating kalikasan. So kailangan maintindihan mo 'yon. 'Yun yung ginagawa namin. So pag naintindihan mo na 'yan, magiging empowered ka na. So ako dito sa bahay, para maengganyo ko yung mga kapitbahay ko dito, nagtayo ako ng community seed library, no, na pampamayan ng talabinhian. So ini-encourage ko sila, no, na magtanim, na kahit sa tawag dito sa urban setting, we can create food security, no, pwede na magkaroon ng kasiguraduhan sa pagkain. So food production, no, pag alam mo ulit yung biodiversity, alam mo yung nutrient cycling, alam mo yung tinatawag nating tawag dito yung organic, alam mo yung mga ugnayan ng bawat isa, okay? Matututunan mo yung paggawa ng pagkain, creating your own food. Pero kung tutuusin sa permaculture, ang food production is not actually food production, no? Ang food production yan ay byproduct ng soil regeneration. So ang gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, no, ecology, biodiversity, nutrient cycling, those are all soil regeneration na may byproduct na pagkain. So pagka nire-regenerate natin soil, putting carbon back to the soil, okay? So makakaano tayo, and these are activities that is related to healing our human space. Yun yung kailangan natin gawin. Tama na, no, na ang food production natin kasi ngayon is all about commodities. Lahat commodities. So, ang nangyayari ngayon, nagkakaroon ng conventional farming, nagkakaroon ng kung ano-ano, GMO. So, yun yung nangyayari, no? It's time, no, na i-ano natin yan, i-shift natin yung ginagawa natin sa mas makabaluhang bagay. And then, ang permaculture, tinuturo namin sa kanila all about responsible production and ethical consumerism. We have to know our limits. So tama din yung mga sinasabi kanina, no? Yung city, yung syudad ng Metro Manila ay lagpas na sa carrying capacity. So it's time, no, na dahan-dahan, no? Mahirap naman, sabi ko, hindi natin magawa agad-agad yan. So kailangan magdahan-dahan tayo, no, to ano ba yung dapat nating gawin. Okay? Nung mga nasa probinsya, baka pwedeng nandiyan na lang kayo sa probinsya, at yung mga nasa Maynila, dahan-dahan natin, kailangan i-create tayo ng something para ma-offset natin yung tinatawag nating carbon at ecological footprint na sumisira sa ating kalikasan. So sa permaculture, tinuturo namin sa community yung closed loop system, walang tapon, no? Producing no waste. Hindi tama, hindi sapat yung itapon mo yung kalat mo sa basurahan. It's time for us to ibay natin yung design. We have to design out waste. So pagka nandiyan yung usapan ng closed loop system, sa mas malawak na perspektibo, ipasok natin, no, bigyan natin ng pansin, pahalagahan natin, gawin natin yung tinatawag na circular economy. We have a linear economy right now and it's so extractive. So what we really need is circular economy. Ano ba yung circular economy? Yung mga biological waste natin, ipasok natin sa biological cycle. Yung mga technical waste natin, kailangan magamit natin na magamit ulit. And then we have to design out waste and pollution. So yun yung principles, no, ng circular economy. Pag magawa natin yan, okay, magiging maayos yung ano natin, yung ekonomiya natin. Pero hindi sapat, no, yung circular economy. So kailangan natin, pagka pinag-usapan natin yung nutrient cycling, no? Ibig sabihin ng nutrient cycling kasi yung nutrients nandun na sa area mo eh. Once na binabiyahe mo yung pagkain mula sa isang lugar papunta sa isang lugar, we are already creating soil mining. Okay? Yung commodities, okay, na kung saan nandoon yung sustansya ng lupa, binahe mo, nilipat mo sa iba, it's actually soil mining. So para matanggal yan is we really have to value yung local economy, yung tanim natin, ang kakain dyan dapat ay yung mga nasa area, yung community natin. Okay? So yung local economy napaka-importante. So kailangan bigyan ng pahalagahan yan. Yan yung tinuturo namin sa kanila. So community enterprise, no? Tama na yung mga McDonald's na yan, yung sa tawag dito doon sa parang Pilcoang, alam ko na wala na yung mga McDonald's, no? Yung mga iba kong kasamahan na sa environment ganito, nalungkot sila kasi mawawala na yung nakasanayan nila. So parang may nakikita akong mali na supposed to be dapat matuwa tayo na wala yung McDonald's. At sana yung ipalit dyan, yung mga cooperative, no? Yung isang restaurant na ang ibinebenta ay mga organic products. So dapat gano'n, no? Tagkilikin natin yung community enterprise. Energy descent, importante yan, no? Ang dami nating pamamaraan, yung lupa natin, ginagamit na nating taniman para makapag-produce tayo ng oil, biodiesel, ganyan. May nandiyan yung nakahain din, no? Nakalatag yung nuclear, di ba? Ang daming wind energy, mga solar panels, di ba? Pero ang katotohanan dito, yung energy descent, no? It's time for us na i-cut down na natin yung pangangailangan natin sa sobrang dami ng enerhiya. So, paglalakad, no, pagbabike, isang bagay yan na pwede nating magawa. And then yung innovation, no, hindi yung mga mechanical na mga tractor yung kailangan natin. Kundi ang kailangan natin yung kamay natin ilagay natin sa lupa. Okay? So yung mechanization ng ating kalupaan, ng ating agriculture, para sa akin hindi dapat talaga yung kamay. No, kasi local economy na tayo. Pag may local economy, konti yung packaging, konti yung storage, nagkakaroon tayo ng mababang pangangailangan sa energy. So, climate action now, kailangan natin. Ito yung bahay ko, 80 square meters, pero nag-harvest ako ng energy, galing sa araw, nag-harvest ako ng tubig, mababa yung mga kailangan ko. Meron akong yung mga biological waste ko nagagamit ng aking mga halaman. So ito yung tinuturo, ito yung sino-showcase namin sa bawat community na pwede tayong magsimula sa household scale, no, sa sarili natin. No, mahirap magsalita hangga't hindi mo ginagawa. So sa permaculture ang ginagamit namin, kami pag nagtatanim kami ganito. So importante yung personal, no, na ginagawa mo sa bahay, na i-share mo. So pagka masabi na namin yung mga bagay na yun, i-share na namin sa community, nakaka-develop sila ng critical thinking, no? Yung tinatawag nating mapanuring kamalayan. Kung magkakaroon sila ng mapanuring kamalayan, no, maiiba na natin yung pakahulugan na sinasabing yaman. Okay? Na yung yaman ay hindi lang yaman dahil may pera, kundi yung yaman na pagkakaroon ng isang gumaganang ekosistema, no? Functioning ecosystem na kung saan hindi mo na binibili yung tubig. Okay? Na kung saan humihinga ka ng sariwang hangin. Yan yung maganda. At pag nalaman ng tao yan, that's the only time, no, na hindi sila aalis sa kanilang mga probinsya o babalik sila sa kanilang probinsya. So yan yung ginagawa namin sa mga communities, sa mga individual, ine-empower namin sila ng ganyang mindset so that they can design at makapamuhay. So yan lang po. Maraming salamat po. At kung may tanong, sabi lang po. Salamat!
Ayan, maraming salamat Mr. Sixto. Napakaganda at napaka-inspiring ng pababahagi ni Sir Sixto patungkol sa mga gampanin at gawain sa mga komunidad. Ayan, siguro ngayon binubuksan na natin ang hapag with Sir David. Binubuksan na natin ang hapag para sa mga katanungan, paglilinaw o suwestyon. Go ahead, Sir David.
Yes,
Ayan.
po, sino pong
Siguro
meron
isa.
questions? Yan. Or kanina may nagre-raise. I
Yes.
think somebody is raising her hand earlier. Ayan. Si Ma'am Sylvia Tamidles. Ma'am Sylvia?
Hello.
Yes. Hello. Good afternoon. Sylvia Tamidles po from Learning Way. from Learning with Global Options Corporations. And it happens that I am also a teacher by profession and as well as a Coast Guard. So being a Coast Guard, we do cleanup, especially sa Manila Bay, along Baseco, and all other coastal areas from NCR going to Region 3, Batangas. So I am sad seeing all those damages, especially po yung yung pollution sa dagat. Yung coral reef natin wala na, yung mga isda natin wala na rin. So, in behalf of the group that I am presenting, paano po ba natin may spread out? I like the idea of Sister Sexto about the permaculture, and I love that also. So, ang concern ko lang po kasi is maraming plantitos, they know how to plant. And then marami din pong advocacies about preserving our culture, our environment, rather. With all these kind of projects, paano po natin mapepenetrate talaga deeply yung ating pong mga community na talagang wag nang magtapon ng basura, mag-segregate ng basura, matuto na po talaga on how to conserve energies, and then yung pagtatanim is dapat po is in proper way and handling just like permaculture is doing. Marami po kasi tayong nakikita ng mga projects pero hindi po natatouch yung total awareness po ng bawat tao. So I would like also to ask a collaboration with all those people po na meron pong advocacy same as what we have. Yung po sir ang question ko, paano po natin magagawa na talaga pong ma-spread out natin yung ating mga advocacy?
Okay. Sasagutin ko po. So, ganito. Salamat sa tanong, Ma'am Sylvia. Ito po yung katotohanan. Challenge po talaga. Okay. Challenge po talaga yung dalhin natin yung tao sa isang makakalikasan pamumuhay. Talagang challenge po. Inamin ko po, kahit sa at even yung paggamit ng mga 3-in-1 coffee, paggamit ng Ajinomoto, talagang ang hirap. So, unang-una, kailangan i-practice muna natin sa sarili natin yung isang makalikasang pamumuhay. Yun muna dapat. Kung ginagawa natin yan, then we have a story to tell. Okay? Kasi ang karamihan ngayon, ang daming mga environmentalists, ang daming but they are parang nasa ano sila nasa ano tayo nasa tawag dito nasa balangkas ng tawag dito ng NGO. Okay lang 'yan, wala yung problema. Pero ang pinaka-importante dito is yung tayo mismo, no? Ginagampanan natin on a household level, no? Yung makakalikasang pamumuhay. And then lahat magsisimula, good thing may NGO. Pero yung again na kanina yung education system, okay? Yung education system natin ay tailor fit sa ating industrial globalized economy. So kailangan may pagbabago din 'yan. No, para sa akin importante household level sa sarili, okay, sa policies, nandiyan yung NGO. Kung ako magiging presidente, ikakalat ko lahat ng community organizer. Ikakalat ko lahat ng community organizer at magsalita about yung ano talaga yung dapat natin gawin. Sustainability is the minimum. What we need is regeneration. Okay? So para sa akin, yun po. Simulan sa sarili, gamitin ang internet, gamitin yung mga TikTok na yan sa magagandang pamamaraan, sumali sa mga NGO, sumali sa Action Kalikasan. Madami tayong pwedeng salihan. And then, importante para sa akin, talaga, yung sa bahay natin. Kasi permaculture is best practice doon sa bahay. Yun lang po. At pwede niyo po akong kausapin, no? Open ako mga projects sa Action Kalikasan. I'm always been the partner talaga nila. Suki ako niyan, volunteer ako sa ano. and kahit sino open makipag-partner sa solution permaculture. So yun lang po, maraming salamat.
Ayan, siguro may dadagdag ko lang, no. Siguro pwede tayong mag-schedule ng isang educational webinar kay Mr. Sixto na ang mag-host yung GPP. Tapos mag-invite tayo ng mga interested participants to know about the permaculture na pwede nating gawin sa ating mga paso sa mga backyard na meron tayo. Siguro sir, possible yun, ano?
Apo, ginagawa ko po yan sa mga iba't ibang organization po.
Ayan. Take notes, Sir Dave. Baka pwede natin gawin yan. O, next question.
Actually nagawa na ng ata 4 na beses yan together with GPP and Action Kalikasan. So kinaka natin si Sir Sixto and perhaps we will be doing it again. Level up naman. Level up permaculture.
Yes. Thank you.
Sir Chot?
Okay, may mga tanong pa?
Magdadagdag ata si Sir Chot?
Yeah. Gusto kong mag-respond din doon sa may question because it's a difficult question and quite relevant. No? For a number of years na nasa ground ako sa advocacy. One time kami ay nabigla doon sa isang community sa Manila. Turo kami ng turo kung paano yung tamang pamamaraan ng composting, yung solid waste management sa household level. We came to realize sa experience namin na in general, alam ng mga tao yung gagawin. Ngayon, ang puzzle doon is, kung alam ng tao yung gagawin, bakit hindi ginagawa? Kasi kung hindi nila alam yung gagawin, tuturuan natin sila. Yun yung sagot, di ba? Pero pagka tinanong mo sila, magugulat ka na alam nila yung kung paano yung gagawin. Alam nila kung ano yung tamang gawin. Alam nila yung dapat gawin. Now, bakit hindi ginagawa ng mga tao? And I think may problema yung kung paano natin nakikita yung sitwasyon at kung paano din natin ito ina-address. Yun palagay ko yung isang kailangan natin ng tingnan. To cut the story short, ang isang mai-recommend ko na paraan para magawa natin is i-penetrate natin yung mga cooperatives. Ang mga cooperatives kasi ay merong may principle siya sinasabing community concern. At yung pagkain, pagkakakitaan, lahat ito ay pwedeng magawa, ma-achieve. Kapag meron kang sinimulan na permacultural community garden, yung permacultural community garden na ito ay maraming maya-address. Let me just add, kasama kasi sa advocacy namin sa Kalikasan, yung heirloom seeds, yung katutubong puti, pinapagit kanina ni Sir Sis. Problema din yung mga genetically modified organisms, GMO food. So we want to go back to organic. We want to, well, of course, merong ibang perspectives yung ibang nasa science community natin. And in the end of the day, we have to get into the conversation. But definitely, we should put up yung mga community gardens. So, bukod sa heirloom seeds, ang isa pang namin doon sa community gardens ng ating sinusunod ay inadapt namin yung kay Dr. Pepito Cunanan, yung konsepto niya ng bahay kubo. Yung community garden natin, dapat ay kapareho sa bahay kubo. Bakit kapareho sa bahay kubo? Hindi yung bahay mo ay kubo na ang gamit ay yung as in kubong as we know it, no? Kung hindi, meron kang dapat 18 gulay. Ngayon ko lang nalaman na 18 pala yung gulay na yun. Sa Pilipinas, ito ay isang element ng kultura natin. Mayroon tayong bahay kubo. Ang halaman doon ay sari-sari. Hindi tayo monocropping. We are into diversified na crop, no? Uh, 18, no? Yun ang dapat na mayroon, I think, na minimum doon sa ating community garden. And I think yung sustainability, part of that can be answered, okay, can be met by putting up yung bahay kubo concept ng community garden. And I think the best na organization, I would say, no, na in the best position to carry it out ay yung mga cooperatives. Maybe not all of the cooperatives, no, but it is the cooperative sa present na sistema ng ating bansa ng Pilipinas in the best position, I think, to carry it out na pwedeng yung potential niya ay napakataas sa success, no, ay ang cooperative. Kasi ito lang yung organization so far na nakasulat sa DILG, sa local government code, na mayroong preferential treatment sa local government. So yung support ng national government and support ng local government ay nasa mga cooperatives. Kaya kung mape-penetrate natin yung cooperative, which is what Action Kalikasan wants to do right now, no? We want to penetrate cooperatives to do the programs, to implement the programs ng Action Kalikasan. So yun yung isang nakikita kong sagot doon sa tanong na paano natin intensively and extensively mape-penetrate yung mga communities doon sa mga advocacies nito. Kasi that is one area talaga na frustrating at this point. Parang walang nangyayari doon sa maraming mga efforts natin. There has to be a more effective and efficient way to get it done. So that's my thing.
Okay, with that, siguro may dagdag ko lang din doon sa mga sa atin ba, hindi ko alam kung naabutan yung practical arts sa elementary, kasama yung pagtatanim, baka kailangan ibalik yun sa educational system na meron tayo. Hindi ko alam kung meron pa yung TLE ngayon. Pero that time when I was elementary, practical arts, yung pagtatanim talaga isa yan sa mga mataas ang grade. Yan. Sir David, meron pa ba?
Yes, Jeff, I think may nagre-raise ng hand si Sir Danber Del Rosario. Then after that, si Dr. Rosemary Mendoza. Unahin natin
Yes,
si Sir
go ahead.
Danber Del Rosario. Danber, Sir Danber, tama ba?
Yes, yung question ko nasa chat box actually. Yung paano ma-affect yung productivity ng farming industries when we're gonna go back to cycling or tanggalin yung farming mechanism at balik tayo sa pagtanim gamit ang mga kamay. So paano natin ma-persuade yung mga farming industries na sabihin nila na babagsak yung productivity namin o onti yung shortage? Siguro mag-hire na lang ng more farmers ba? Kumbaga kung ganun.
Sasagutin ko po, Sir David. Sagutin ko.
Sige po.
Okay. Okay, actually, yung farming ngayon, especially yung conventional farming, conventional agriculture, what we are actually creating are commodities. No? Commodities yan na binebenta natin. And our food system right now is nutritionally empty in a deep way. Yun yung po yung katotohanan. Ngayon, meron na tayong meron na tayong golden rice. And pinupush ng DA yan. So try to imagine, ano ba yung golden rice? Ito yung GMO. Okay, yung GMO, dalawang magkaibang species pinagsama. One thing na hindi ginagawa ng kalikasan. Okay, so ang nangyayari dito with conventional farming, with conventional agriculture, we have a lot of externalities. Okay, externalities. Yan yung hindi pinag-uusapan, no? Kung ano yung kine-create nito, gaano kataas yung carbon at ecological footprint ng conventional farming. Okay, ganun yung nangyayari. So, with that in mind, na ganun pala ang nangyayari sa conventional farming, bakit hindi natin pumunta tayo doon sa regenerative agriculture? Mind you, 70% ng pagkain natin ay galing sa small-scale farmers. Okay? And 30 or 20%, yun lang yung galing sa mga malalaki. And you know what? Pagka yung 20% na yan or 30% no na conventional farms, no, it has created no yung problema sa ating environment. 75% ng problema natin is galing doon sa ating conventional farming. Ganun katindi yung externalities. The people dapat alam nila, lahat ng tao dapat alam 'yan. Kaso lang hindi natin hindi nakalagay hindi pinag-uusapan. Hindi natin ang ginagawa ng tao is ang importante may pera. 'Di ba? We should measure yung ani natin in terms of nutrition per acre, per yield, no? Hindi yield per hectare, hindi ganoon. Dapat yung nakukuha nating nutrition. So ganoon yung problema natin na kung mailalatag natin 'yan at magkakaroon ng realization na mas productive pala yung small scale agriculture, yung regenerative agriculture, baka mag-shift no tayo. Okay? And kailangan in partnership din ito sa mga consumers, no? If we choose yung mga pagkain that is organically grown, we are becoming partners with the organic farmers na kung saan yung pamamaraan nila ng pagtatanim, pagpo-produce ng pagkain is not based on chemical but based on biology where life creates life. So dapat ganon. Ganon dapat yung gawin natin. Ilagay natin, ilatag natin sa mga magsasaka, ilatag natin sa lahat ng stakeholder na we need an activity that is related to healing the planet. And that is regenerative farming, regenerative agriculture. Kung magpapatuloy tayo sa conventional at sasabihin nilang hindi ganito, well, wala. Gaano na lang tayo. Hinahayaan na lang natin na in 10 years time na ito na yung fate natin. Scarcity, no? Food scarcity, water scarcity, conflict, ecosystem collapse, cultural erosion. Those are yun yung mga dala ng conventional agriculture. So kailangan meron tayong malaman natin yung mas malawak na ano. Pagka nag-organic farming ka, konti na lang yung mga inputs na ilalagay mo. Okay, hindi ka na mag-engage sa mga chemicals. Na yung chemicals na yan, pumapasok yan doon sa ating water table, sa ating mga aquifers. Okay, pag pumasok yan sa ating aquifers, nilalason nila yon, no? Yung mga iba't ibang ecosystem pa, no? Nawawala, namamatay yung mga microbes na kung saan sila yung gumagawa ng mga aggregates na kung saan yun ang nagpapatagos ng tubig sa lupa papunta sa ating aquifers. Pagka may lason yung ating kalupaan, magiging compact yan. Yun po yung sanhi kung bakit tayo maraming baha. So hindi alam ng tao yan. No, kung ilalagay natin talaga na kung papaano nagpo-form yung ilog at may kinalaman dyan, okay, yung ating mga halaman, yung ating mga puno, ang ating lupa, baka magkaroon ng shift ng mindset. So importante that we know how natural system work. Yun lang po.
See, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Last
Sir
question.
Chot, you have something to add?
Yeah, two things one, yung we need not be adverse to technology. Because as a matter of fact, ang na-obserbahan ko sa technology ngayon is it is learning to mimic nature. So, mas maraming research ngayon sa biology. Kasi nakikita na ngayon ng mga scientists na yung maraming mga problema na natin ay meron na actually can provide na solution yung nature. This is what Sir Sixto is trying to explain, di ba? Yung mimicking the natural environment. So, technology and the principles of nature are definitely not in contradiction with each other. So we just have to learn kung ano yung lesson sa atin ng nature. And in regard to that, ang isang problema actually, yung banana plantation sa Pilipinas, well, it's actually genetically modified, no, yung GMO, but not in the sense na as we know yung GMO. No? Pero yung monocropping system niya, yun ngayon yung isang problema ng Mindanao. No? Dahil pala yan, kapag pinasok yan ng peste, kung saan namatay yung puno, hindi na pala tutubo kahit kailan doon ang banana. No? So kapag ito ngayon yung sakit ng mga monocropping. No? Kaya sensible pagka inaral natin scientifically yung bahay kubo na dapat maraming halaman doon sa plot ng ating pagtatanim, hindi yung monocropping. Kasi we thought na monocropping is the perfect system to create wealth. Yun ang akala natin noon. Until na dumating yung panahon ngayon. And we do not know kung paano ma-reverse yung problem sa Mindanao ng mga banana plantation doon. Now, I think going back dito sa atin, para hindi tayo mawala doon sa context of this discussion, no, which is the Manila Bay region, palagi ko sensible yung pag-create talaga ng mga community gardens. As a matter of fact, dito sa context ng pandemic, no, we recommend na mag-create ng community gardens. We call it pharmacy. No? Yung mga halamang gamot ay dapat na nakukuha na natin doon mismo sa halamanan natin sa pamayanan. Yan ngayon yung isang sinusulong namin, yung community pharmacies. So, yung 18 vegetables na yun, 18 veggies na yun, doon sa may bahay kubo, we recommend na up to 60% of that, or at least 60% of that, ay mga herbs, no? Mga herbal veggies, no? Na pwede nating gamitin, no? Kagaya ng luya. So we have a project right now yung sa production ng salabat. It's because salabat fights inflammation, no? So yan ngayon yung isang pinakakalat namin na project dito sa Calabarzon, no? Na magkaroon. Ang idea is sa isang bahay at least 1 square meter na tataniman. We have 30,000 members. Kung lahat yun ay makukumbinsin namin ng 1 square meter per isang membro, then you're talking about 35,000. No? And that's 3 hectares, 3.5 hectares na taniman. No? Not necessarily ng luya lang, kung hindi ng iba't ibang mga halaman. Now, if we can do better dun sa mga community gardens, then it will do. No? So, yung problema ng city, kasi ang NCR ay highly urbanized. No? Halos wala ka ng tataniman yan. Pero yung 1 square meter na pwedeng pagtaniman, that's possible. Na pwedeng magawa yun. So, yan ngayon yung sa nakikita namin na hamon kung paano natin maiki-carry out. No? Yung pag-set up ng mga community garden pharmacies. No? So, yun yung isa sa mai-recommend ko na focus ng ating maybe content ng policy shift that every LGU, every barangay should have its own community garden. So that can be an element. So yun yung
may I speak after Chot?
May susunod pa po, sir. May susunod pa tayong magtatanong, and then maybe Sir Noel after kayo susunod. Last question na po kay Sir Noel.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sir Chot. Meron pa idadagdag?
Okay na ako.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And then ngayon si Dr. Rosemary may tanong.
Yes, good afternoon, Jeff. This is not actually a tanong but a mere reaction with the flow of the discussion kasi ang pinapoint out natin dito is we're not supposed to be extremist with respect to this type of conventional farming and also with respect to the technology kasi we can actually marry the two systems to become sustainable kasi nga di ba if we will look at the UN SDGs each intervention must be sustainable. So ano ibig sabihin ng sustainable Now, it should be good for the environment, it should be good for the people, it should be good for the economy. Now, if one of those criteria was never met, it was not sustainable. And as of this moment, as of this time, ang pinakamaganda kasing way para ma-meet natin yung criteria ng sustainability is to marry, di ba? Is to marry technologies, processes, and systems that are good for those three elements of nature. Hindi tayo pwedeng maging sustainable at the same time focusing on conventional farming. Tama naman yung tinanong ni Denver na what if babalik tayo doon? Di ba? What if babalik tayo sa conventional farming? Will it be productivity? There are actually interventions that has the ability to impede productivity. So kapag ka ganun yung naging intervention mo, the purpose is actually defeated. So what we are after with respect to these types of intervention is that, again, it should be good for the people, it should be good for the environment, it should be good for the economy. So may mga radical interventions na nakikita natin, naririnig natin dyan sa tabi-tabi. I am not actually enumerating it one by one. But the point is, if it becomes very disadvantaged or if it will actually deprive one of these elements of sustainability, what for? Diba? So yeah, the point is, let us all be open-minded. Let us try to marry combinations of these techniques, and most probably we will be ending up with a more sustainable process. Kung ako, nandito ako sa urban area, at hindi ako marunong magtanim, hindi mo ako pwedeng piliting magtanim. Kasi it will end up what? Me killing plants. Kuha ko ng kuha. This is a personal experience way back. I really wanted to plant because I'm an environment advocate, no? Pero what happened to me was that I ended up killing a lot of plants. I ended up wasting a lot of resources just because of the fact that I wanted to be sustainable. So by that time, na-realize ko na, my purpose is defeated. Nag-aksaya ako ng pera. Nagkalat pa ako eh. Diba? So what happened was I started retrospecting, studying back my techniques. And what happened was I realized that there should be a systematic way of addressing things. So in short, things must start from within. A behavioral transformation from each people. Bawat isang tao kailangan niyang pag-aralan yung sarili niya. Pag-aralan niya kung ano yung magagawa niya, paano niya magagawa ng mabuti yung isang bagay. With that particular behavioral transformation from one person, if it becomes contagious, mahahawa yung community. Katulad ng sinabi ni Chot, katulad ng sinabi ni Sixto, mahahawa yung community. No? And then, later on, what happens was, hindi enough yung behavioral transformation, di ba? Dapat may political will naman, yung mga namamahala sa gobyerno. So again, looking into it, we have to focus on what? Combinations of everything good. Katulad ng sinabi ni Dr. X sa isang cartoon, no? It's a combination of everything nice and everything will be giving way to better and more beautiful things. Hindi natin kailangang maging extremist. Hindi natin kailangang maging against dito, against that. Because what if combinations will give us something that we wanted? Yun yung pinupunto ng UN SDGs. We have to be sustainable in the interventions that we will actually introduce to the people. Okay? So, yun lang po yung gusto kong sabihin. Thank you so much for hearing me out.
Yeah. Bago kay Kanoel, idadagdag ko lang din, may kanya-kanya kasi tayong cope-up mechanism, and then may kanya-kanya ding, kumbaga, paano natin i-deal ito. Though lahat tayo ay environmentalist, pero may kanya-kanyang strength and weaknesses. Kung maidadagdag ko lang doon sa sinasabi ni Doktora. Anyway, last na po ito kay Kanoel. Make it short and sweet, Kanoel. Running out of time.
Okay. My point can be discussed also tomorrow dahil 2 days naman to. Ang point ko ganito. Ang mga ideas ni Sixto Bereber are very good, no? Maganda. Plus yung contribution ni Doc Meggy, etc., no? Maganda. Tsaka yung Pichot. However, we should be very clear doon sa delivery system. Delivery. How do we deliver this to the communities? Ang answer dyan is a political party can deliver it working down at the grassroots. And that might be GPP. I said might be Kasi hindi, the way I see it, di pa naman tooled up ang GPP to go down there to the grassroots. Pero it can be tooled up to go down to the price, no? All over the country. And of course, starting with strategic locations para mag-multiply. Kasi ang ano ngayon, we are at the stage that we heard good ideas from Mr. Bereber, and that permaculture and that community garden and that transformation, behavioral transformation ni Doc Meggy, maganda lahat yan. At yung Kichot, yung cooperative, okay lahat yan. Pero kailangan i-deliver ito sa mga tao sa ibaba. Right now, we're discussing this year. Pero hindi to walang mangyayaring production and sustainability kung hindi maiisa-isip ng mga taong gagawa nito sa ibaba. And it takes a lot of doing and a lot of logistics and delivery systems para mangyari ito. And the answer to that is a political party. Kasi yung political party, isa lamang ang kanyang tinutungo. Halimbawa, ang political party natin, GPP, is to deliver permaculture and community gardening, etc. So we will have to have a cascade of training from the center to the periphery. Siguro, Mr. Bereber will be one of the prime movers sa training para masabi niya lahat yung ideas niya. Ang importante dito sa delivery system is organization. And that's the political party. And then how? How do you deliver this down there? So I will stop here, and since this is a 2-day affair anyway, baka interesado kayo discuss pa further on the political side bukas. So thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you.
Well, noted, Mr. Noel. Thank you very much. Okay.
Jeff,
Bago
thank
tayo
you.
totally
Siguro, Jeff,
mag-flow.
bago
Yes.
ko i-present yung ating magsisynthesize for the day, I would like, I think, to conclude on, what Canuel is saying then, no? With regarding to the Green Party. Siguro ang the GPP Green Party of the Philippines not saying that we are the only correct Green Party and party na para sa kalikasan. Siguro one of the greatest actions that we can do together is to stop competing with one another. This is the problem of Filipino-based organizations. Na bata pa ako, nakikita ko na nagpapagalingan po tayong lahat, pataasan ng ihi, padamihan ng accomplishments. And this is also the same with political green parties in the Philippines. Siguro dapat may mga ilan na magbaba ng kanilang, ng kanilang ihi, tawagin sa Pilipino, di ba? And unite.
Well,
Hindi naman
that's
itong
another
issue
issue.
hindi naman itong issue na isang kung sino pinakamagaling. I think that's related to what we are discussing. If we want to accomplish something sa environment, pati sinasabi ni kasamang Hilary Pangan kanina, we need to cooperate with one another and look at each other as a helping hand, as a consensus partner. No, sama-sama na tayong kumilos. Kasi ano na nga to we are in a nick of time. Wala na ditong isyong sino pinakamagaling. Sama-sama na ang kailangan gawin. And with that, Jeff, I would like to call on the person who would synthesize. I hope ready na siya na our event for today. May we call on Mr. Antonio of the Pro-Earth Crusaders and the GPP Deputy Secretary, Deputy Treasurer.
Okay, yeah. Can I share my screen, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this has been a very interesting afternoon, whole day, no? At medyo if you're supposed to come up with the summary of proceedings, medyo nakakawindang ng konti. Ang bibilis magsalita, ang bibilis ng mga isip, ang daming ideas. You know, this is a very, very productive bunch of guys that
Yeah.
we're dealing with. At any rate, let me just come up with a summary of proceedings, no, for today. What happened? Okay. Well, summary of proceedings. The Congress started with President Dave DeAngelo of GPP, giving an overview of the GPP's mission, vision, purpose, and objectives. He concluded by saying that the intent of the Congress is geared towards and will attempt to identify the immediate environmental actions that are necessary. President Dave also introduced Raymond Gonzalez as the master of ceremony for this Congress. Jeff Ramos gave a background on the international initiatives that led to the rise to a series of conferences and international treaties to protect the environment, specifically the 1992 Conference of Parties at Rio de Janeiro, which resulted to the crafting of Agenda 21. He later connected Agenda 21 to Philippine Agenda 21, which is a framework document of all environment-related plans and programs in the country. Lou de Puela made a presentation on the Upper Marikina Watershed Coalition and the allied efforts being undertaken by concerned organizations. He identified large-scale deforestation as the problem in the area. He went on to suggest that there should be an EO to be issued by the current leadership to effectively control, if not ban, illegal logging activities in the area. Russell Morales of Masungi Georeserve presented the environmental connectivity problem between the uplands to the coastal areas. She emphasized the importance of recognizing this present problem from this context. Other problems range from land grabbing and conversion, quarrying, forest burning, and attacks against rangers. She also detailed the present initiatives of Masunji geared towards ecosystem preservation. Chot Velasquez of Acción Kalikasan identified the challenges in the rehabilitation efforts for Manila Bay, which are economic wants versus ecological needs, general lack of awareness of what is going on. Number three, no incentives to generate participation in present initiatives. Number four, a lack of coordinated action from the involved actors. He summarized the solution as IEC, number one, an IEC program. Number two, a reward system. Number three, better coordination among all the actors, big or small. In the open forum that ensued, Jeff Ramos suggested the institutionalization of awards and recognition system for environmental workers and advocates. Farmer John mentioned the problematic gray areas of concern between the DNR and the DA. Russell Morales commented on matters involving the first law of ecology, which says that everything is connected to everything else. Heidi Pabalate of the DNR identified the areas which Manila Bay, the DNR line which covers Manila Bay. The DNR line agency is concerned, as well as other government agencies and LGUs involved in the rehabilitation of Manila Bay. She articulated on the Mandamus ruling of the Supreme Court, which aims to make Manila Bay swimmable. She also spoke on the creation of the Manila Bay Task Force and the related projects of the task force. The task force is undertaking. In the open forum that ensued, there were many questions and comments, but all agreed that, number one, rehabilitating Manila Bay is a private-public responsibility. Number two, communications and transparency is key to the success of the rehabilitation of Manila Bay. Number three, individual efforts or initiatives are most welcome as these small efforts, when taken in a larger scheme of things, will be of great help. Dan Renner of the Rotary Club of Alabang Madrigal Business Park presented a project called the Carbon Cutter. The project promotes better air quality through the reduction of carbon pollution in the atmosphere. Another benefit would be increasing the financial condition of tricycle drivers. Chot Velasquez of Acción Kalikasan articulated on community-based initiatives. He also outlined the various plans, programs, and present projects of Acción Kalikasan. In the open forum that ensued, Jeff Ramos expressed concern about moving forward under a pandemic regime. Sixto Bereber of Solution Permaculture presented his thoughts and experiences on permaculture and how this could help food production and the environment in general. He advocates for environmentalism through a circular economy while minimizing consumerism. In the open forum that ensued, Sylvia Tamilles expressed concern on how to cascade environmental initiative to a larger number of people and get more people involved. Danver del Rosario expressed concern over conventional agriculture as opposed to regenerative farming. Rosemary Mendoza suggested that we all maintain an open mind on issues between traditional and radical interventions so long as it supports sustainability. With all those in the background, here is my unworthy synthesis. Involvement and awareness seems to be of a high level from individuals and groups involved in environmental concerns. Tayo po yun. Yung mga involved, mataas ang level. But there is a larger part of the population who are passive, unaware, and uninvolved. Initiatives like the Manila Bay Region Kalikasan Muna Congress and other related programs must have the objectives of increasing the level of awareness and getting more people involved. It would be easy to get things done when more people are involved as opposed to individuals acting individually. So we don't worry, the synthesis might be a little bit negative, ended a little bit negative. However, we have a chance to correct all of this tomorrow. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, my friends. Dave?
Ayan, thank you very much, Sir Anton, para doon sa napaka-comprehensive rapporteur for the day. I'm sure talagang ang hirap-hirap i-cope up ng mga ideas and presentations kasi nga ang tagal-tagal and we are having a very limited time. But anyway, before I close, thank you very much sa lahat ng presenters for today. Mr. Dan Rayner, Director for Environmental Programs ng Rotary Club of Alabang Madrigal Business Park, Mr. Hilary Pangan, Enya and Birdland Care Commune, Mr. Precious Chot Velasquez, again, thank you very much, sir, President ng Asyong Kalikasan, and of course, Mr. Sixto Bereber, ang ating volunteer solution sa permaculture. Thank you very much. And of course, sa lahat po ng participants, Dr. I'm sorry, hindi ko na ma-mention ang mga pangalan ng lahat. Thank you very much for being with us. And syempre, gusto natin pasalamatan ang ating event host kaninang umaga, si Mr. Raymond De Castro. Thank you very much, sir, for being our very good host. Syempre, pasasalamatan din natin, of course, si Sir Anton for his very, very comprehensive rapporteur and giving us the details all the while. At syempre, ang ating very energetic President, Mr. David De Angelo, for creating this whole thing in partnership with everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being part of this endeavor. And of course, tomorrow we were going to have another fruitful discussion as we continue our second day of our NCR Manila Bay Region Kalikasan Muna Congress. So I hope nandito pa rin tayo tomorrow at sana magkaroon pa rin tayo ng as fruitful, as intense at na katulad nito sa seminar na ito. Of course, thank you very much for having us. Sa mga participants po, please fill out our post-event survey form for us to be able to identify your presence. Okay? So, thank you again in behalf of GPP. Dave, may dadagdag ka pa before we
Po,
finally close the event?
bukas po, we will the registration will open at 8:30 a.m. and the event will start at 9:30 a.m. We have a very interesting discussion. It would be a lecture on legislative ordinance 101. So tuturuan po tayo paano ba gumawa ng ordinance. And later on, we will have our groupings to discuss ano ba yung mga policies na sa tingin ninyo ay kailangan gawin sa inyong area. So 4 groups po yan. We have our facilitators, our guide for each group na i-announce po natin tomorrow. So hindi po kailangan gagawa ng ordinance, no? Key points lang. Halimbawa, kailangan namin ng ordinance on plastic, ordinance on ganito kasi matagal kung gagawa talaga tayo. And the second discussion is based on our own experiences. Ano yung sa tingin ninyo yung mga key points or best practices na ginawa ninyo sa inyong mga organizations that we can share to others and we can replicate. Sabi ko nga kanina, it now is time to unite and get our acts together. Sama-sama na tayo kasi this is a brink of something that is very dangerous for us all. So maraming salamat po for participating today and I hope we have more numbers tomorrow kasi talagang marami to ha. Interestingly, we have 50% turnout. So see you again tomorrow and thank you very much sa inyong lahat. Yun po sa mga gusto mo mag-member pala sa Green Party of the Philippines, may link din po, greenparty.ph. We also have a women's sector and also Action Kalikasan, actionkalikasan.org. See you tomorrow. Goodbye and have a great day. Goodbye po. Paalam. See you.